Fan is live and local with Fan Sports Saturday. The Fan Sports Day of the Week. Oh, this is some clever branding. Here's your host, Place Name Here.
Oh, what's in a name anyway? The name's Brad Marchand, but I'm still going to call him a rat. Eric Reiser, Austin Ward, you heard Nate there in the update. This is, for my money, Austin, the best time of the year.
Oh, we are really lucky right now.
The Memorial Day weekend goes into the Memorial Tournament itself, and then you have summertime into the 4th of July. I know it's said before you'll know it, you'll be into football season, but take the time right now to enjoy what you have. And we're pleased to and hope you will enjoy us for the next 3 hours here on the Saturday Spectacular. But this time of the year, I think Austin gives you everything.
Even when you don't have something to watch, which pretty much every night you do.
Yeah.
NBA Finals, NHL playoffs, NHL Finals going on, Stanley Cup Final. For me, I got camp season rolling along at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center, so you have a chance to go, or I have a chance to go see the current Buckeyes, see the coaching staff. Berm's out there covering all the recruiting aspects, offers going out, prospects. So there's stuff on and off the field. The NFL never stops anyway. You have Aaron Rodgers moves throughout the week, so you got plenty to pay attention to. So I think May is the longest month of the year for me personally and professionally. And then June, it's like, okay, we're starting to roll downhill, heading toward the season, heading towards Big Ten Media Days in Vegas and all those other things. But like, there's movement going on, big-time sports, and Money in the Bank tonight.
We'll do our best to get all of that between now and 1 o'clock. The success of that still very much to be determined. It rarely is. Like Austin, I've told Tyvis this when I was doing this show with him for years. You'll get about a 7 or 8 page prep sheet from me, and we'll get to maybe 2 pages of it.
Well, you gave me homework to do, and I did it.
Well, I appreciate you coming prepared for this. Everybody does. Like everybody I get a chance to work with here does a wonderful job of making sure that my job is extremely easy.
We'll see.
I'm prepared. I'm comfortable saying that right now at 10:03. So you talk about all the action going on at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center, and we'll get to kind of the terms of the House versus NCAA settlement coming up here later this hour. But in the Woody Hayes Athletic Center, talking to coaches, talking to players, talking to recruits, talking to parents of recruits, how much of that is in the front of their mind right now?
You would think more because it impacts them so directly and potentially very lucratively. But they've been operating under this notion that it was going to happen anyway. And whether the settlement got approved, which it did, as you mentioned, late last night, a pretty surprising, not just a 5 p.m. Friday news dump. It was 9:30 p.m. when they're like, you know what, it's a good job out of them, I thought. We're going to roll out all these press releases at once and get the conference commissioners out there and athletic directors talking about the House settlement. Here it is. It's done. We're not even going to wait. We're not going to formally put on a press conference or anything. Here you go. It's done. Thumbs up. But I think everybody, certainly I can speak for Ohio State, whether or not this got approved, they had put every piece in place to pay players starting on July 1st. And then it was like, well, who's going to stop you? Because I think that's the way all of the SEC programs are operating. Ohio State, Penn State, they've put all these contracts in place as if it was going to be approved. And even if it wasn't, and if there was a holdup, like, well, this is what we're doing. Mm-hmm. This is the way of the world, and there is no putting the genie back in the bottle. So in terms of, oh, gosh, is there uncertainty? Is this going to happen? I've talked to some people in compliance. No, there's nothing stopping it at this point. And so I don't know that there was anyone biting their nails to see, gosh, I hope that this actually finally gets approved. I think they were all going to continue forward as if it had been already.
It was, I think, the theme from everybody. I mean, you even had Tennessee, stop us. And it's enforcement's the name of the game here. And if you have no interest in actually doing any enforcement, then what do the rules mean anyway?
Tennessee, what was going on with them and their state legislature, I think what was actually more concerning than anything else, because the House settlement had not been approved. They had not put the vaunted College Sports Commission in control yet. And Tennessee was already going out of its way to make rules that say, well, you can't have enforcement of anything. At some point, all of these coaches, all of these athletic directors that are saying that you have to have guardrails, is what they like to call it. We also know them as rules. Well, then you have to abide by them. You can't say, hey, we need help. Can you carve out some exemptions so that we can pay above and beyond? Like, they were trying to cheat against rules that didn't even exist yet. I think that part was more disturbing. You were seeing that with Tennessee. New Jersey did that because Rutgers apparently needs that help and wants to cut some corners. But you had that in Georgia and Florida where they're like, well, let's make NIL money exempt from state taxes. Like, you have to come together. All 50 states, well, maybe not Alaska. They're not going to play big-time college football up there. But you have to, why does the NFL work the way it does? Collective bargaining and an acknowledgement that the rules are in place and that you have to follow them. You can't, on the one hand, ask for help and ask for guardrails and then purposefully try and find a shortcut off of that road. So I still don't know that we're there, Reiser, to be honest with you. Like, there's still going to continue to be lawsuits and challenges and people breaking rules. This thing is a long, long way from finally being settled. I wish it would be, because I think it would actually really help college football if they could say, you know what, we're done with this nonsense. You talk about it with Bo all the time on here. It's like, put these rules in place, and then you can start doing things like off-season workouts, and you can put a designated transfer portal in place. You only deal with that once a year, and you can sign these guys to multi-year contracts, and you don't have to worry about your roster being turned over or ravaged every year. That's good for the game. You just all have to sit down at the table and say, you know what, let's shake hands and play by these same rules instead of constantly trying to put one over on your rival or another conference.
There is one thing that they can do that would make all of this go away or make all of this better for everybody involved, but those in charge have zero interest in actually doing that. And I'll kind of explain more on that coming up later in the hour, because it's just about being serious.
Yeah.
And what was done last night, what's been done for the past couple of weeks, what's going to be done between now, July 1st, July 6th, I don't think are serious responses or serious solutions to this problem that everybody seems to think is going to tear the sport or tear college athletics apart. But before the Stanley Cup final, before game one between the Oilers and the Panthers, I said on these very airwaves, I was rooting for Florida. I was rooting for Florida primarily because of Sergei Bobrovsky. I wanted to see him get another cup. I thought that would, if there were any doubts of his Hall of Fame candidacy, that would seal it. And then what game one provided was, I think, exactly what the NHL needed. And when you have a lot of pressure on Edmonton because it's, a Canadian team hasn't won in however many years. And the Maple Leafs feel like they're never going to reach that pinnacle. And Connor McDavid, he's getting into his late 20s. He's becoming sports old. Can he finally get a cup that'll solidify him as one of the greats? You certainly see it on the ice. And when Leon Draisaitl scores that overtime game winner, it was about, for me, creating that moment. And at that moment, which I think all finals, everything that decides a championship outside of the Super Bowl and the college football national championship, you can't really have a game because the interest just isn't quite there like the Super Bowl, like the college football national championship. You need moments.
Yep.
And Draisaitl's overtime game winner was the moment for me where I'm like, no, bleep the Panthers. And then last night happened, and Brad Marchand had two moments and a double overtime winner that I don't even know if he shot the puck so much he kind of just dribbled it past Corey Skinner. And just like that, you have what I thought was a tremendous amount of momentum for Edmonton. Go back to Florida, who gets to host Game 3 Monday night.
Yeah, stealing that one on the road, and the person who did the theft is, boy, very disheartening, because now the puck is really in Florida's court, and I cannot ever get behind any sort of Brad Marchand support. So
anymore.
That's not going to happen. And there's a part of me, you mentioned the benefits of Sergei Bobrovsky strengthening his legacy and fortifying the Hall of Fame candidacy. And there's a part of me that it's buried deep down where I agree with that part. It's more like I'm so disgusted by the way everything unraveled for the Blue Jackets 5 years ago and everyone bolting town that I don't want any of them to have success. But I also enjoy the misery of Canadian hockey fans and their championship drought. So I didn't really want anyone to win this series. But now I definitely didn't want Brad Marchand to lift a cup with the Panthers, and I just feel like I'm in hell. This is hell for, I think, most hockey fans out there, because you have Marchand there's so much winning he did with Boston, and he was such a rat. And every time that they would come to Nationwide Arena, they would play the Smashing Pumpkins when he would sit his ass in the penalty box. And he was that antagonist that when he came on with the Florida Panthers after the trade deadline, and that organization did such a great job. I mean, bringing Marchand on, bringing Seth Jones into the fold, who got a goal last night in Game 2.
it just like they don't need any like Thanos. You got 5 Infinity Stones, 6 Infinity Stones. You don't need 7 and 8. Like how do the Florida Panthers? And I know it's a lot of. I'm still very bitter at the NHL for allowing Las Vegas to come into the league the way they did and instantly be a cup contender. But I'm also mad at the Florida Panthers in a state that doesn't care about hockey. Now they're on the precipice, and I really do think that Florida now has all of it. You take things a game at a time. And the NHL is absolutely killing it with the action that they've had in 2 games, but now they have all of the momentum. They've got the game 3 back in Sunrise in their stadium across the street from a shopping mall. I'm like, none of this is right.
They don't deserve it.
No.
We shouldn't have to watch it.
Well, I probably will.
Yeah. Well, it's been good.
Crushed it.
It's been good hockey. It's been really good hockey. I think that's been the most unfortunate part of it.
Yeah.
Is that you can't deny that it's high level and that Bob does deserve some of this acclaim. The fact that he would have to share any of it with the Rat is very, very unfortunate. But if you do love high-level hockey, you're not going to get any better than this right now.
I think the NHL the 2 best teams were on the ice last night. The 2 best teams in the league were on the ice last night. The 2 best teams will be vying for Lord Stanley's Cup. The Florida Panthers obviously looking to defend that. But like I said, Game 3 is going to be in Florida. That'll be Monday night at 8 o'clock. In baseball last night, as you heard maybe from Nate in the update, the Guardians left everybody stranded as they went 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position. And Austin, in their 4-2 loss to the Astros, as I'm just watching it in frustration because you had later in the game, runners at the corners, runners in scoring position 6-7 times, and you couldn't do anything with it. How much baseball do you watch, one? And do you think that every fan base thinks their team's the worst with runners in scoring position?
I do. I weaned myself off of baseball. I used to be just the most diehard Braves fan that existed. And when I was covering Tennessee and living in Knoxville, it was like I could finally get every game on television again. And I was like, I feel like I'm wasting my life. I'm watching 120 games a year. It's like and it was pre-pitch clock and all that stuff. They're taking 3-4 hours. I'm like, what am I doing with my time? And that's when I sort of like got away from it. And I remember the wild card game against the Cardinals and the infield fly rule that cost them this game. It's like, I think I'm done. I pretty much went cold turkey. So unless I'm going to go to a game in person and have a good time that way, I've kind of turned it off. I mean, I certainly have to and need to keep up with it just to keep my sanity. But it is, I remember that feeling very well. You'd think, last night,
they suck.
The Braves left 6 guys on. Like, in the grand scheme of things, that's not that many compared to some others, but it's like this, they do this every single night. How does this keep happening? How do they keep getting away with this? So yeah, I know that feeling quite well. And it's like, you had it down there, you broke down, says like 1 for 6. I'm like, that's not that unusual for a team to go 1 for 6. That's not horrific.
No.
That's a normal night.
Right. But it pains me because I go back to the Yankees series and they had bases loaded, 1 out in the 7th. And they got nothing for it. And that's how you get swept, or that's how you lose 2 of 3. That's how you get blanked in the Bronx. The Reds got rained out. They'll do a doubleheader today in Cincinnati. First pitch for Game 1 is 2:10. We'll have all of that Cincinnati Reds Diamondbacks action right here on The Fan. A bad day for Rory, and the settlement means everything's settled, right? It's Sports Saturday on The Fan.
A lot of hosts have been on our airways in the past 30 years. Some good, some bad, some really bad. Anyway, sorry for that. The Fan.
Dude, I think I just wrote the song of the summer. Listen.
That's just you drinking a big gulp from Speedway.
Exactly. Song of the summer. Here comes the drop. Crisp, fruity flavors like the limited time Mountain Dew Pitch Black. And just 89 cents for any size with Speedy Rewards? That's a summer hit.
I'm not sure you know how songs work.
The convenience stores of Speedway. Hold on, you gotta hear how it ends. Valid through 6/24/25. See app for full terms.
Hey, it's Anthony for Orthopedic One. I'm not invincible anymore. I never was, but I refuse to punt on things I still love to do. That's why over the past several years, when I've had things creep up, like back pain, shoulder issue, elbow problem, I've had it all, I've always chosen Orthopedic One. That's because Orthopedic One is Ohio's largest physician-owned orthopedic practice with 60 physicians in every specialty. Find a physician or location near you at orthopedic1.com. Orthopedic One. This is where you go to get better.
When it comes to your roofing, siding, or gutter needs, call Newman Roofing, 614-NEW-ROOF, newmanroofing.com.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. Spring into savings at Ohio Mulch. Get your mulch as easy as ever. Save $50 on home delivery now through Sunday. All you got to do is visit ohiomulch.com today.
Ohio Mulch, landscape supply.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
A healthy body needs good food. This summer, the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce is sponsoring Sun Meals, a summer food program where kids eat free. Children under 18 receive healthy meals and no sign-up is required. Locations may be right in your neighborhood. Call 1-866-348-6479 or visit education.ohio.gov/kidseat for meal locations and times. That's education.ohio.gov/kidseat.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone for Window Nation. Beat the heat with Window Nation's semi-annual sale. Buy 4 windows and get 4 windows free, plus a free entry door when you purchase a house full of windows, plus no money down, no interest, and no monthly payments until 2027. That's a whole lot of savings and a super smart investment when prices are going up. Their windows also come with a lifetime warranty, so you'll keep saving long into the future. Hurry, the sale ends soon. Don't wait to get your estimate. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com.
Join Rothman and Ice every Thursday at 2:30 for Gold Jacket Thursday.
Presented by the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
A new Hall of Famer joins the show every week. But not OJ, because he's dead and probably a murderer. The Fan.
At Kroger, we've lowered prices on over 1,000 items across our stores so you can save even more. Whether you're shopping in-store or online at Kroger, we've lowered prices on thousands of the items your family wants and needs. And with lower prices, your dollar goes further every time you shop with us. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Check out this amazing deal on Kellogg's cereal. Select varieties or buy 2 get 3 free with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
This summer, elevate your backyard barbecue game with Napoleon Grills from Billiards Plus in Dublin. Experience the power of Napoleon's infrared sizzle zone, reaching up to 1,800 degrees in just 30 seconds for that perfect steakhouse sear. Stay connected with the Napoleon Home app. Monitor up to 3 temperature probes, all from your smartphone. Built to last with premium steel, the grilling season never ends with Napoleon Grills from Billiards Plus. Visit Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin and transform your patio into a gourmet grilling paradise.
Hi, I'm Mandy. I'm one of the at-home coaches with Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Honestly, I think the thing I hear the most is I didn't realize how easy it was. That first weekly they come in, they're like, oh my gosh, I already noticed that I'm not as bloated in my face or in my abdomen, or I've been sleeping better. I've been waking up with so much more energy. I don't need my coffee throughout the day. They're coming in a month or 2 later and they're like, hey, like my daughter said I need to lower my meds. I'm losing a ton of inches on my waist. I'm buying new pant sizes. And we're looking at the scale and we're like, yeah, your visceral fat's down again. That's fantastic. And we're celebrating all of these wins. And then we talk about, okay, next step. Let's talk about how to maintain it. This isn't over. This is just the next stage. That's what your health coach is there for.
Thanks, Mandy. This is Scotty Vegas. Easy weight loss with results that actually last. With Awaken 180 Weight Loss, you will succeed and you'll enjoy the process. Online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Aaron White with your 10 weather impact forecast here for our Saturday. A mix of clouds and sunshine this afternoon. High temperatures into the upper 70s to around 80. We may see a pop-up shower or thunderstorm, but otherwise should stay mostly dry. Showers and storms roll back in here after midnight tonight into our Sunday with highs into the 70s. And showers and storms will be again possible on Monday. Highs back into the upper 70s. And that's a look at your 10 weather impact forecast here on 97.1 The Fan.
The Big Nine was a sad, incomplete place. Enter Ohio State. The rest is history. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
The Fan. Just because it's the weekend doesn't mean we shut up. This is Fan Sports Saturday.
Hey, Austin, if anybody was interested in more of you, Austin
Why would they
Ward.
want that?
Well, okay, maybe they can't stand Austin Ward, but they love Jeremy Birmingham.
They do. That is true. That is the nature of our show.
Where could they find one or both of you?
Well, you can go to 10 TV, 10 TV Plus. The 97.1 The Fan YouTube is where the growth is going on right now. I can't tell you how many times we were asked in May, are you guys going to be on YouTube? When's this going to be on YouTube? I get all my content on YouTube. Great. We're there. The Austin and Berm Show, The Beat, Snap Judgments. We had our first Snap Judgments as part of the team here. We were excited to do that on Thursday after camp. So Berm had the recruiting insight going on, some offers that went out. Brian Hartline, when he sees a wide receiver he likes and sends an offer his way, that it's going to be a pretty big upside there and something to follow. So Berm had that part. And I talked about some of the current Buckeyes who looked a lot different physically after just 2 months. You zoom out for 1 second, and these guys change dramatically. Edric Houston, I talked about him a lot. 295 pounds.
A large human.
20% body fat. He came in, Reiser, a year ago at 245. And it's like, okay, well, this guy, he's a 5-star. We know that he can become something special, but he's going to play on the end, right? He's got to play on the end. No, he's a 3-tech, and he was telling me he's wanting to get down to 18% body fat. That's now the next goal. Still wants to play at 295. And because he's modeling his physical growth after Aaron Donald. So you kind of look like Aaron Donald right now. You're a scary human.
Let's say you're playing 295 on the end. You're going to go in the first or second round of the NFL draft, although Houston might find his name called pretty early when he does decide to get out. So, yeah, Austin and Berm, find him on YouTube, find him on 10 TV Plus, find him on the 10 TV or the 97.1 The Fans YouTube channel, as with everything that we produce, because really there's no off season anymore. Football just ends and then it begins in another form or fashion. Were you at all, Austin, surprised that Rory didn't call Jack Nicklaus in advance of the Memorial Tournament?
I don't know what's going on with Rory. Yes, I was surprised by that. That seems pretty standard operating procedure.
It's weird, right?
As much of a legacy, as much of an importance on the calendar, as much deference as is constantly paid and earned by and for Jack Nicklaus. Yes, I think no showing that event, which is, there seems to be one or two every single year now that Rory is just like, I'm out of here and I'm not going to talk to anybody about it. Coming off of the driver debacle at the PGA and off of you really go back to the Masters and then just disappearing. It feels to me, Reiser, like Rory checks something off the bucket list and he's like, I don't have anything else. I'm good. He's the person who wins the lottery and means it. Like, I'm not going to work another day once I win the lottery. Now, I know that that's probably not reality because Rory is a competitor. He wouldn't have got to this height without being intensely motivated and driven. But I think he might have checked out a little bit. He poured so much into winning that Masters that he certainly earned the right to do whatever he wants. And anyone can do whatever they want as well. I would never tell Rory or anybody else how to live their life or manage their career. But it's quite weird what's been going on and almost just very out of character for him, capped with a very strange round on Friday.
So that's something he'll want to forget only forever. An 8 over 78 Friday in the second round of the RBC Canada up in Toronto. It's his highest score. He shot a 78 last year in the first round of the British Open. McIlroy's Friday consisted of a quadruple bogey, a double bogey, 4 bogeys, 2 birdies.
Okay. Yeah, some bright spots there.
He didn't make the cut. He told reporters after the round that it does concern me, quote, you don't want to shoot high scores like the one I did today. Still, I felt like I came here, obviously, with a new driver, thinking that sort of was going to be good and solve some of the problems off the tee. But it didn't, end quote. And next week, you only have the U.S. Open at Oakmont.
Think you have to drive it well there? Might want to hit some fairways.
What are we doing? That's where you're going to do the new driver?
You've had time.
It's ambitious.
Also, you could have gone and played at the Village and worked on the driver last week. What was more important than doing that? I don't know. That's like Rory's been avoiding the media for the most part in the last 2 months as well. It's all been very strange. Like he had the, insight or the lack of insight into what was going on with his divorce proceedings of the last year. And like everything about him has been very unusual. And the fact that he was able to play such high level golf 2 months ago is remarkable. Like, good for him. But is he going to get that back? Is he going to get it back by Thursday? It's hard to imagine now.
Cameron Champ's your leader at 12 under. He'll start his third round again. This is the RBC Canadian Open the week before the United States Open. Nick Taylor's at 9 under. He had a pretty good week at Muirfield. Richard Lee's also at 9 under. Andrew Putnam, 2 back at Champ at 10 under. You talked about the year of tumult.
Yeah.
Really? The year, 2 years maybe for Rory. You know, when that live stuff started to happen and he was firmly in the corner of the PGA and then the tour kind of said, well, I mean, the tour kind of heel turned on him. Like, Rory was your champ.
Yep.
And then you just kind of hit him with a low blow, taking the money from the Saudis. And so emotionally, a lot going on upstairs. But I don't think the week before the U.S. Open's a time you want to be monkeying with your driver.
No, and
that's supposedly, according to Rory, what was the problem yesterday with his 8 over.
And he had the, one that failed the test at the PGA.
Yeah.
And that's, as they described it, as the tour described it, that's not unusual. They test, 30% of everyone's drivers when they go there, and you have however many come back is through wear and tear and whatever metric it is that they're measuring. I play golf. I don't understand it. I don't care. Like, none of that stuff really matters to me that much. But certainly if you're trying to compete, you want that level playing field. He seemed particularly rattled by that. And Scotty had the same thing happen to him, and he just blitzed the field anyways. Like, I need another driver. Cool. That's fine. I'll use it.
Nothing seems to rattle Scotty Scheffler.
That's true.
Not even being arrested.
You can be arrested and go shoot 6 under right after you get back to the course. But I don't know. It feels like, because Rory also had that happen, then didn't talk to the media that whole week. And now he's still talking about the driver as he's shooting 8 over par. It seems to have... You don't have to be that bothered by it. You did accomplish the career Grand Slam. Like, things are pretty good for you overall. But he just seems to go through these weird mental funks. And I don't know why. And I hope he gets out of it. It's more fun when he's locked in and actually giving entertaining press conferences.
The tour needs Rory to be like one of your standard bearers.
Yeah.
Like, you need him and Scotty Scheffler, like, you need to be back and forth for next week's U.S. Open, or stuff like that just gets lost in the shuffle that is the NFL trying to gobble everything, that is college football changing every 10 hours. Like, those names that you need, because nobody's watching live golf, so there's probably going to be a redefection.
Eventually, yeah.
When those guys come back after they, contracts expired, like, this is a time for Rory to not only continue to build, but to cement the legacy as one of the greatest in the sport. And this isn't it, Rory.
And what have we said? People will appreciate greatness, and everyone watched Tiger at the peak of his powers, and it was like, well, he doesn't have any true rival. But it was a lot more fun to watch if Phil Mickelson was able to step up and take something down to the wire, or a random challenger came along. And every time they tried to force one of these long-term rivalries, they ultimately all faded away and they wilted in the face of Tiger. But that's what made it the greatness more appreciated. It's like, okay, you had these other guys winning a major here or there, winning a bunch of PGA Tour stops, someone with a Rory-like resume. I mean, Scotty should be the one chasing him, and it now feels like the roles have reversed. But, if we're going to, I don't think Scotty, he doesn't have that force of personality the way that Tiger did. Tiger's was unique. No one's ever going to be exactly like that. But Rory seemed to be the one who could take that kind of torch and was not going to wilt in the spotlight, not going to shrink away from big moments, did not feel any pressure going into a press conference and saying what was on his mind. That made him in a lot of ways very different from Tiger. It was like, that might be the future standard bearer for the tour. And that hasn't quite happened either. But if this group is going to, if the PGA Tour group, is going to fight off the challenges, whether that's live, whether that's NFL, whether that's strengthening their broadcast deals, they're going to need more than Scotty to do that. And that's where Rory's got to get that part sorted out.
A Friday night news dump is a hell of a spot to announce how you're going to spend $2.8 billion. That's next. It's Sports Saturday on The Fan.
Common Man here for Universal Windows Direct. There are a lot of window companies out there, so why choose Universal Windows Direct? Let me tell you. First of all, I told you so. Also, you can get payments as low as $99 a month, or no payments and no interest for an entire year. That gives you a full year to enjoy the comfort, savings, and curb appeal before you ever make a payment. Schedule your free assessment today, 614-502-5220, or go to universalwindowsdirect.com. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
Legend has it, underneath the NJM insurance offices lies a room of rejected mascot memorabilia. Is it real? No one knows. But we do know NJM is proud to put policyholders first. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance.
Insurance underwritten by NJM Insurance Company and its subsidiaries. Don't settle for ordinary this summer when adventure awaits. Make memories that will last forever only at your Columbus Zoo and Aquarium, Central Ohio's family destination for fun. Plan your perfect summer trip at columbuszoo.org.
Hey, you. Wouldn't a Diet Coke at 7 a.m. totally hit? You know you can get that from Wendy's for just $1, right? Even you, girl drinking a Fanta on the way to 8 a.m. Pilates class. Any soda you want, any size, just $1. So go get that breakfast soda, you morning menace. But maybe hurry, because it's only during breakfast. Morning soda? Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours. Exclusions apply. Not valid in a combo. Prices may be higher in Hawaii.
No matter where you are, Coughlin is there, in store or online. CoughlinCars.com. 13 new car brands, over 1,000 pre-owned vehicles, 16 convenient locations for sales, service, and parts, plus 4 state-of-the-art collision centers. CoughlinCars.com. Shop locally owned, CoughlinCars.com.
Coughlin has a car for you. There's nothing Bo Bishop can't do well, except find competent co-hosts. Bishop and Friends.
Weekdays from 9 to noon.
The Fan. Instead of annoying national people talking to you this weekend, we've opted for annoying local people. This is Fan Sports Saturday.
Yes, it is. Eric Reiser, Austin Ward, about 90 minutes into last night's NHL Stanley Cup Final Game 2. Twitter went nuts. And it wasn't because of anything Brad Marchand did. It wasn't because Seth Jones scored a goal on the ice. It was because the NCAA finally got an agreement from District Judge Claudia Wilkin in their House versus NCAA antitrust settlement. 9:30 was a heck of a time to do it. I guess if it's 5:30 out west, then you're doing it right before dinner. But this feels maybe it should have earned a noon designation on a Monday.
You would think if you were going to completely reconfigure the way college athletics operates and works, you would do more than wait until the middle of Stanley Cup playoffs,
It's
finals,
Friday
game
night.
2 on a Friday night. Maybe roll that out with everyone who was involved in this process talking about what it means for college football primarily, but college athletics as a whole, because you have a lot of moving pieces. This is not just about now sharing the revenue. This is about roster limits, scholarship limits, NIL packages are all part of it, inside, outside, how that's going to operate. It impacts the way you're going to compete on the field, who's going to make the rules. A college sports commission is founded. Maybe put that person out there and introduce them and what they're, maybe they didn't want to introduce that person and
Why
talk
wouldn't
about
they
their
want to
background.
introduce that person?
Yeah, maybe we'll get into that a little bit later on. I bet
was it Nick Saban?
I bet we will. But, this is, on the one hand, they want it to be presented as a seismic, momentous day for college athletics. And you can see how that would be. They have finally broken down and admitted that the schools should be paying and sharing the revenue with the athletes. That's taken 150 years for them to get to that point. That is good. That is new. But if it is that important, maybe celebrate that. Maybe talk about it publicly. Maybe unveil the details in something other than a bunch of press conferences where you're patting each other on the back for making this decision. That's too much to ask. Maybe it doesn't matter. But doing it at 9:30 and on a Friday night and just trying to ignore the fact that you're not really settling anything and that lawsuits can continue to pour in and you haven't put any rules in place, maybe that's why they don't want to call more attention to it, because the more questions you ask about it, the fewer answers I think they could actually provide.
And I do think, to your point, that's why this was put 9:30 Friday night. And that's why you saw just statements from Charlie Baker, statements from the heads of the Power Four conferences. Finally, Tony Petitti put his name to something, which we haven't seen in months. I don't know if you've reached out to the Big Ten, but this station, several shows have reached out to the Big Ten to get Commissioner Petitti on. I know Adam Rittenberg has tried to get Commissioner Petitti. Paul Feinbaum's tried to get Commissioner Petitti. Doug Maurice has tried to get Commissioner Petitti. And it feels like this guy's in witness protection. And you've got, instead of Petitti trying to do the best for the conference, you've got a guy like Ryan Day stumping for what's in the best interest of your 18-team league. So the idea that him and the other Power Four guys and Charlie Baker out on a Friday night with this that nobody's seeing maybe points to your point that they're like, well, we've messed up for 30 years, and now it's come back to bite us in the ass. Here's something we think might help somewhere, sometime.
Yeah, I don't want it to be a head-to-head comparison, but you could more reasonably get in touch with the previous leader of the Big Ten. Now, Kevin Warren came under his own scrutiny for how many press conferences, how much press conferences, the decisions that he made, and I don't know that we agreed with very many of them. But if I had several conversations with him, it was not impossible to do that, whether they were all, some were public interviews, some were private, some was background information, but at least there were a lot of times that he was advocating for the Big Ten and willing to do that with his name attached. Tony Petitti, he's operating more like a mob boss from what I can tell, because he is very much advocating for the Big Ten, and he is trying to push through this 4-4-2-2-1 college football playoff model, which I don't love and doesn't make a lot of sense, but it is because he views that to be in the best financial interest of the Big Ten to then parlay that into this championship weekend with 1 versus 2, 3 versus 6, and 4 versus 5 for the 4 spots. He's doing a lot of that, but he's abdicating the public responsibility for the Big Ten and the future of college football because Greg Sankey knows how this game works, and he will pop on with Paul Feinbaum, or he'll show
anybody.
up. You want to talk about the SEC? Greg Sankey is more than happy to do that.
Like, it feels like he'll just go up to microphones and start talking about the SEC to them, and like, Greg, this isn't on. He's like, well, turn it on. I'll go. What you need? I can give you 20 minutes.
This wasn't background. You tell everybody.
30 minutes. Let them. I'll give you 30 minutes right now on the SEC. And that's, to me, because you're right in that Petitti is going to bat for the conference, but these are in sessions at like the Omni Hotel in Dallas. These are meetings that are happening in Nashville, Tennessee, or in New Orleans. That it's really just the Big Ten and the SEC meeting. And I think maybe once in a blue moon they'll invite the other 3 commissioners. But for the most part, it's like, no, you guys aren't involved. But maybe sometimes Notre Dame's guy, because we'll pretend to let you in on these discussions, but it's those 2 that are going to be running the sport. So I don't want it too extremes, I guess is what I'm trying to say with it. I don't want it the extreme of Greg Sankey where it's almost like, dude, shut up. And then Tony Petitti, it's like, dude, where are you?
Yeah.
Let's both meet in the middle for, I think, everybody's best interest that would serve.
It's like they're playing a very weird game of good cop, bad cop out there in public and with the media. But one is actually a lot more effective and skilled at it. Because what's happening is all the moves that Tony Petitti is trying to make, and there were some comments about this. Like, I think The Athletic, Scott Docterman was doing some reporting on this, as others were over there. It's like, oh, the Big Ten is now confused why the SEC doesn't support the 4-4-2-2-1. They thought they were all in agreement. Well, you're not quite the mob boss you think you are if you've made a deal with another family and you just took their word for it. It's the SEC. You cannot trust them. Everyone knows that. They're going to flip on you immediately. And they have played, Greg Sankey has played this really to perfection. Yes. I hate to admit it. It's very begrudgingly that I would give this kind of pressure, but I think that we were talking about this earlier in the week where it's like the SEC has suddenly been able to present itself as the savior of college football from the evil Big Ten. How did that become your role? It's because Tony Petitti doesn't exist in public. He's working in the shadows and not actually accomplishing anything. And the SEC finds out what he wants. And then Greg Sankey goes and tells the media, and he tells the Big 12, and he tells the ACC, this is what Tony P's doing. We can't have that. This guy he's bad for you. Come follow me. I'm Greg Sankey. I'm your friend.
It was incredible to see reporting that had Greg Sankey, Jim Phillips, I forget who, Brett Yormark.
Yeah.
So the ACC and the Big 12 brass, and then the P6 representative or the G6 representative, all on the side of the 5+11 playoff model. And then here's Tony Petitti by himself, the 4-4-2-3-1-6-5 model.
So guys,
how did that happen?
Guys, I thought we liked it. Don't you like me?
It's incredible in the communications business, which is what Tony Petitti's from. You're so terrible at communicating things to where people are now reporting on you being confused at what happens when Greg Sankey does what's in the best interests of the SEC.
I think it's the difference between having somebody really involved on a day-to-day basis on the athletic side and the competitive playing field and championship side and a television executive. And I think having a television executive has been very lucrative and beneficial for the Big Ten.
Yes.
You can't look at that and say that it has been bad. But when Tony Petitti is the only one over here making these moves, and we're talking primarily about the college football playoff format, and what that would mean for the Big Ten championship weekend, his dream baby, to make billions more dollars. That'd be great if the Big Ten had that. I don't know anyone who actually likes it as a competitive model, and it's not good to, stratify the classification between Big Ten, SEC, and then the drop-off down to ACC and Big 12.
By the competitive by the model, you mean the new playoff format, or you mean like the championship play-in weekend thing?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, because to get to that point where you have the championship weekend model, you have to agree on the 4 automatic bids. Like, I don't think that this thing will exist if they don't have that. The 5+11 would make no sense to do it that way. I don't think any of it makes any sense, to be honest with you, Reiser.
It's all so bad.
But that's his goal is narrowly focused on that. To let's put 4-4-2-2-1 in place so you can have these championship weekends and make more money. And everyone else is looking at that and saying, well, the Big 12 has to just admit that it is half the conference of the SEC. How are our fans? How is the coast-to-coast nature of college football fandom going to work if you just say, hey, this isn't as important? You're now turning everything else into a Big 2, like the old Big 2 and Big 8. What you had in the Big 10 was like, it's Ohio State and Michigan and nobody else matters. You can't do that across college football. It wasn't good for the Big 10 then, and it won't be good for college football as a whole. How are you going to continue to make billions of dollars if now 90% of the fan bases in the country don't believe they're playing the same sport? You can't. It's also what's wrapped up in this House settlement. Like, the only ones that are trying to find ways around the rules that aren't even in place yet are the SEC and the Big 10. You have to work together. Just because Texas Tech or Baylor may not be playoff contenders on a year-in-year-out basis doesn't mean that they aren't important to college football. And they're trying to freeze them out. And if they do, boy, the sport that would be the kind of damage that you can't undo.
It's going to be wild, I think, to see how different schools, like you mentioned, like Ohio State, the difference between the Buckeyes and the Longhorns, and then Texas Tech, the Red Raiders, and then Baylor, when they have to pay out starting July 1st, 22% of power conference schools' average athletic revenue. It's $20.5 million this upcoming academic year, and then $32.9 by 34-35. And I looked to those athletic departments that I mentioned with Texas Tech, and you're starting to get an influx of oil money.
Yep.
Bo made the great comparison of Texas Tech. A lot of their boosters are involved in the show Landman, and their money grows out of the ground, and that's how they're able to do it. And similarly for Baylor, but it's not at all the same thing for Purdue. It's not all the same thing for Illinois. It's not all the same thing, for some of the smaller schools in the Big 10 and the Big 12, but they're all going to be trying to play under the same umbrella. And how you manage that, how you figure out fairness, you're throwing that out the window. What with all of this does is it just creates, I think, an even more uneven playing field than what you had previously, and then what people have been crying for years that they want to wipe. They want to make it an even one, and it's just not.
Yeah, you can never accomplish that.
No.
Especially not, like, all of this revolves around college football, period.
Yes. So
you have 130-plus teams. None of them are all competing on the same playing field already. When I talk about my alma mater, Wyoming's not even going to have $20.5 million to share with their athletes. That's not going to exist. Then they don't have the same broadcast deal. They don't have the same NIL opportunities. Like, comparing them to Ohio State, there is no comparison. No. That's not apples and oranges. That's apples and beach balls. Like, they're not the same. And I think they've spent years. We've talked about trying to find a proper playing field, proper landscape, because it also is still important to have the college football fan in Wyoming or Montana or wherever, Utah, that is invested in the national championship. And if they don't even have a path to access for that, why would they care? If they don't have a championship that they can play for outside of their conference, why would they watch? And it becomes a more difficult balance. And I think the way that Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti are operating very much puts the entire enterprise at risk. And that may sound like hyperbole and an overreaction to some of this stuff, but I don't know that they're considering the unintended consequences of chasing every last dollar and every last piece of broadcast inventory instead of maintaining some of what made college football the second most popular sport in this country.
As part of the fallout from the approval of the House versus NCAA settlement, there is a new man in charge of college football. It's not Nick Saban. We'll tell you who it is next. It's Sports Saturday on The Fan.
We have so many local shows, I can't fit them in a 10-second promo. So let's just say we're live and local all damn day. The Fan.
Reds fans, get your tickets now to watch Ellie De La Cruz and your Cincinnati Reds take on Aaron Judge and the New York Yankees in a 3-game series, June 23rd through the 25th, presented by Kroger Zero Hunger, Zero Waste. Don't miss this exciting matchup against the reigning American League champions. To catch all the action at Great American Ballpark, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com/tickets.
We've discovered the perfect morning ritual, the 2 for $6 breakfast sandwich deal at Tim Hortons. Every sandwich is made to order with a freshly cracked egg and melty cheese, just the way breakfast should be. Choose between savory sausage or hickory smoked bacon, served on a toasted English muffin or flaky biscuit. There's no wrong way to mix and match this tasty deal. 2 breakfast sandwiches, just $6. Perfect. Only at your neighborhood Tim Hortons. At participating U.S. restaurants, single item at regular menu price. Modifications and tax extra. Exclusions and additional terms apply.
I think I just wrote the song of the summer. Listen.
That's just you drinking a Big Gulp from Speedway.
And just 89 cents for any size with Speedy Rewards? That's a hit. The convenience stores of Speedway. Valid through 6/24/25. See app for full terms.
Did you want information on the Ohio Lottery's Easy Play games? Okay. Easy Play games have everything needed to play printed on the ticket, so you never wait for a drawing. And with Easy Play Progressive games, they can instantly win the game's jackpot, which oftentimes grow and grow to over $1 million. All lottery players are subject to Ohio laws and commission regulations. Play responsibly. Want another commercial? Okay.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Hey, Jerry.
Hey, Aaron. Hey, it's that time of year again.
What time is that?
The time all the air conditioners start breaking down.
Oh, that time. Yep. Every year.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Like a swarm of bees. They all get together in a coordinated effort.
You mean the Queen air conditioner tells them all to break down?
Nah, they just get tuckered out in the heat, Aaron. Can we handle all the calls?
Sure, we have a swarm of highly trained coolness experts standing by.
Get Eco.
ECO.
And we have $3.5 million in new service trucks to get them there the day you call.
The same day? Well, what if you don't call until...
We'll come as late as you'll stay up to let us in. Same day.
That explains all the revving engines.
It's like a beehive of activity, Jerry.
Do you know I invented that weird scoopy thing you serve honey with?
You should invent something for ketchup, Jerry. It's America.
Ooh, now that's an idea.
Get Eco.
ECO.
GetEco.com.
Come into your local AAA Car Care Plus and save $40 on any repair of $150 or more. Only at AAA Car Care Plus locations. And on the plus side, AAA members save more. Offer valid through June 30th. See store for details.
Common Man has hosted shows with radio royalty, Spielman, Tor, T-Bone, just to name a few. So listen to his new show with Timmy Hall. If man can pull this one off, he's a miracle worker. Common Man and Timmy.
Weekdays at 3.
The Fan.
Boating season is finally here, and Buckeye Lake Marina is your go-to destination for all your on-the-water needs. With the largest inventory in Central Ohio, you can choose from top brands like Bennington, South Bay, Crown Line, and more. Buckeye Lake Marina has it all. Pontoon boats, luxury tri-toon boats, even merch. Open 7 days a week to serve you better. Find your next dream boat at Buckeye Lake Marina. Visit BuckeyeLakeMarina.com today for all your on-the-water needs. The good life, the lake life, starts at Buckeye Lake Marina.
It's been a great run. Care Heating and Cooling has achieved goals I could only imagine 30 years ago. But now it's time for the next generation to take over. This is Mike Weens, now the retired founder of Care Heating and Cooling with my sons, Dennis and Ryan.
Dad, I remember you saying that a family business should reflect family values, that a customer deserves to be treated with kindness and compassion.
And those values will never change. The reputation you built for being fair and honest is our greatest asset.
In fact, in 2024, CARE was awarded a BBB Torch Award for Ethics and named the Lennox Partner of the Year.
You don't earn those awards by leaving cat toys behind. It's an honor to continue serving Central Ohio as a locally owned, family-run business.
So, whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just honest advice, CARE is here for you.
Call Care Heating and Cooling at 1-800-COOLING or schedule an appointment online at careheatingandcooling.com. When you need a company, you can trust.
This summer, elevate your backyard barbecue game with Napoleon Grills from Billiards Plus in Dublin. Experience the power of Napoleon's infrared sizzle zone, reaching up to 1,800 degrees in just 30 seconds for that perfect steakhouse sear. Stay connected with the Napoleon Home app. Monitor up to 3 temperature probes, all from your smartphone. Built to last with premium steel, the grilling season never ends with Napoleon Grills from Billiards Plus. Visit Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin and transform your patio into a gourmet grilling paradise.
All your favorite fan shows are available when you want them.
Head to 971thefan.com and hit that subscribe button.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Sports talk, weekend style. You're listening to Fan Sports Saturday.
All right, so because most of you missed it, the House versus NCAA settlement was approved by Judge Claudia Wilken last night.
Great job, Claudia.
And when I say most of you missed it, well, you were probably watching Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final. Or you were watching Friday Night SmackDown.
SmackDown, baby.
Was on.
Yeah.
It's the go home show before tonight's Money in the Bank. Or you were literally doing anything else on a Friday night in June.
Probably not. Just waiting with bated breath to see if the House settlement came through. Now, especially because there wasn't any sign that is like at the finish line.
No. It was in the approval stage for like a month. I think the thing holding it up was roster limits. And when Judge Wilken told both parties, you've got to figure this out, and then I will approve it. That was a month ago. And everybody who reported on this issue, who I can't imagine like going to school, like wanting to do sports reporting, and all you want to do is cover games. And then all of a sudden your editor's like, no, man, you got to cover this. Like, I don't think that's what you get into at all.
That's what burned me out. Honestly, you're speaking my story out loud.
So you just wanted to cover X's and O's, ball on the field.
And not even like X's and O's, because I try to learn it from the coaches and players. I defer to them. I never got close to playing at the level, will never have the understanding that they have. It's the stories for me. I love sports. I love talking about it. And I want to tell the stories of the people that are on the field. When I was covering Tennessee for the Knoxville News-Sentinel, I know what's going on in Indianapolis right now for Michigan with the Committee on Infractions hearing, because Bruce Pearl had Aaron Kraft over to his backyard for a barbecue that he shouldn't have.
Wild.
And so, you had all this going on for 18 months and off the field and learning how it works and sitting in the hallway out there in Indianapolis and trying to get a comment. And when all you are going to get is a no comment, we can't talk about this. The lawyer said we can't talk about it. And then, New Keith Richardson holding up a gas station and guns and drug suspensions. I had to, go down and get court reports at 2 a.m. and find out how to do all this stuff and file FOIAs. Like, that's not what I got into it for. Some people love that part of it. That's great. Some sports reporters even, they want to do the news more than they want to cover the games. Well, that wasn't me. So that burned me out on dealing with all of the nonsense off the field at Tennessee, which is I'd love to be somewhere where that's not a day-to-day part of my life. And when ESPN was like, hey, would you be interested in joining our team? We're hiring a bunch of college football reporters. Yeah. Okay, well, you want to cover Tennessee? No, I don't. What else you got? Well, Urban Meyer is taking over in Columbus. We need somebody there. Yeah, give me that.
In a heartbeat.
Now, there was a little.
Going to Georgia anytime soon?
I'm not going to Georgia. No, because every 3 a.m. call for somebody going 135 miles an hour down the road. No, I'm not in on that. Now, that was a little bit of roll of the dice because as I mentioned, I was covering the SEC in the late 2000s. There was a lot of stuff going on.
You knew how the sausage was getting made the entire conference.
Yeah, so it was well, I feel like Ohio State's probably got a better handle on that. But it was a little bit of a game. And then, thank goodness, I'll knock on wood right here, that has not been a part of my life since then. But I know exactly what you mean, because that's, you read sports reporters trying to break down court cases like this. That's not our expertise. We take one class on that in college, and it's I'm never going to use that. I'm an idiot sports reporter. But now they're having to try to explain this and spin it all forward, and I don't know how you do it.
And I think for the general fan out there, they don't care. Tell me who's going to be on my team, who's coaching my team, when are they playing, what time's the kickoff, and where can I get my beer? Those are what actual fans care about, not how this all works with a college football or a college sports commission that was announced, and it had been reported on a couple months ago. I think the president had said that Nick Saban was going to run the college sports commission because here comes the government to solve all of your problems as they've been doing for only 250 years. But Nick Saban then tells maybe Nick Saban tells everybody who would listen, I really want nothing to do with that. The College Sports Commission is created, so thank you to our overlords, the NCAA, for creating something that they should have been doing for the last 30 years, but they have not. Brian Seeley will be the college football czar, or I guess the CEO of the College Sports Commission. That decision was made by the Power 5 commissioners, which is really just the Power 4, or I've even heard like the Autonomy 4, the group, however you want to call all of this.
The family.
It is the job that the NCAA should have been doing, that they decided to kick the can down the road for so long that's how you get involved with a $2.8 billion class action settlement. And so now this Brian Seeley, who will be the college sports czar, really the college football czar, comes over from Major League Baseball, which we know for the past 30 years has been run about as efficient as anything in the country.
Just nothing but good decisions over and over.
They're just not serious people. And Rob Manfred was one of the primary persons to come out and speak glowingly about this Brian Seeley. And Rob Manfred, only known for making baseball faster. Yeah. The only positive thing Manfred's done for the game of baseball is the game goes quicker.
Is he still working on that golden snitch proposal?
It's unserious people doing unserious work for a very serious issue. Because I think if you put truth serum into Ryan Day and you asked him, is this fun? Generally, I don't think you'd get a positive response.
Yeah, I don't even know if you need truth serum in him.
Winning the national championship, fun as hell. Having to deal with all of this on a Friday night, coming to Saturday morning, like you're talking with you and Berm, a huge recruiting weekend for the Buckeyes. But then he's got to sit back as the CEO of Ohio State football and go, are we covered? Are we good with this settlement? Do we have all of our ducks in a row with this? Because July 1's going to be screaming at you before you know it. None of this has anything to do with actually kicking the ball off on August 30th against Texas.
Sure doesn't. That's, and Ryan Day is pretty well compensated for those efforts. So, and I think, as you said, as he leans back or he taps Ross Bjork on the shoulder at one of these dinners, like, are we covered here? And the answer is yes. Like, for a program like Ohio State, for the others that we mentioned, Georgia, Alabama, Texas, they want this. This is going to make them stronger, and it is going to bulldoze the playing field. When everyone was talking about, well, there's going to be a cap on this, and they're going to monitor the NIL deals. Okay, great. Does that mean that Oklahoma State is the same as Ohio State now? No, it's not. And this is only going to exacerbate what already existed, which they're trying to present it as a way that it's, well, the NFL has a salary cap and there's parity. That's not going to exist for college football, because the second that they try to do that, which is this second right now, that will be challenged in the courts again.
No, there will be more lawyers. There will be more lawsuits coming. You mentioned how college football wants to be just like the NFL and everything but making these guys employees or collectively bargaining. I think that would be the biggest fix. But they're not interested in doing anything like that, because employee is the one word I think Ross Bjork does not want to hear about his, quote, student athletes. Apathy for Aaron. That's next. It's Sports Saturday on The Fan.
If you haven't thought about Buckeye football today, I'm sorry to tell you that you're dead. Our condolences. Your home of the Buckeyes, The Fan.
All your favorite summer flavors are a good deal better at Meijer. Great for the grilled prime cuts of fresh from Meijer pork shoulder butt roast, or buy one, get one free. Assorted varieties of General Mills mid-size cereals are $1.99 each. Tender bulk sweet corn is 5 for $2. And select varieties of Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce or marinade and Ken's dressing are all 2 for $5. Take time to enjoy the chillin' by the grill good life all summer long with Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
Hi, this is Bob Mashetter from Dick Mashetter Ford. Thank you to all of Central Ohio as we head towards 60 years of doing business in the Buckeye State. Dad opened up in 1967 simply trying to offer a better way to buy a car, and we've been working ever since to serve our neighbors. We have served you through wars, recessions, and even a Chinese virus. Here is to serving you and your kids and your grandkids for the next 60 years, except on Sundays when we're closed, because it's the right thing to do. Still 24/7 at mashetterford.net. Thanks.
You had a solid retirement dream. Sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But with an unpredictable economy and the future feeling uncertain, you're wondering if that equity will still be there when you're ready. What if you could bank that equity right now? With Truehold, you can sell your home for its current value, so you can access your equity today. You can bank the cash now and stay in the home you love with an easy standard lease. Truehold even covers property taxes, insurance, and repairs. And since Truehold hands over your equity in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you'd like. Don't let a shifting economy put your hard-earned equity at risk. Visit Truehold.com and receive their competitive offer on your home in just 48 hours, based on its current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without moving. That's Truehold.com.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Summer is officially here, and that means rising temperatures. You're going to be thinking about how you can keep cool all summer long. What's the best plan here? Well, one of the ways you can beat the heat and keep the air conditioning you're paying for in your home is to get Window Nation's energy-efficient vinyl windows. And now's a great time to do it. They've got a semi-annual sale where you buy 4 windows, you get 4 windows for free. Plus a free entry door when you purchase a whole house full of windows. No money down, no interest, no monthly payments until 2027. It's a deal that can't be beat. You're getting a great deal from Window Nation because they are high-efficiency windows that are also very affordable. They do that by working directly with the top window manufacturers in the country, which means all their windows are assembled right here in the USA. But don't wait on that semi-annual sale. You buy 4 windows, you get 4 windows free. Free entry door when you purchase a house full of windows, plus pay nothing until 2027. You've got to schedule your estimate today. Call 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com. Once again, that number, 866-90NATION or windownation.com.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
And I'm Nate Pooterball. In the NHL, Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals saw the Florida Panthers knock off the Edmonton Oilers in double overtime to tie the series at 1 apiece. Brad Marchand scored 8 minutes and 4 seconds into the second overtime to get the 5-4 win. Game 3 is Monday night in Miami. In Cincinnati, the Reds and Diamondbacks saw their game suspended in the 7th inning due to rain, tied at 3. They'll pick up the suspended game today at 2:10 with the regularly scheduled game to follow. Catch the action right here on The Fan. The Guardians dropped Game 1 of their series to the Houston Astros last night 4-2. Jeremy Pena extended his hit streak to 12 games, and Colton Gordon picked up his first Major League win for the Astros. David Fry hit his first home run of the year for the Guardians. Game 2 is this afternoon at 4:10. Breaking sports news when it happens on The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
During weekend programming, pants are optional.
Look at my butt!
However, leather chairs may have been a bad choice. You're listening to Fan Sports Saturday.
All right, we have visual confirmation of Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh.
Out of the darkness.
He's actually there on the ground, or someone that looks just like Aaron Rodgers. But in our last segment, I was asking Austin about growing up wanting to be a reporter to cover sports, to cover the games, to cover the athletes, to tell their stories, and end up having to file FOIA requests or go down to the courtroom to get transcripts of court hearings, or having to look through police reports or do investigating of investigations. It's like with this and now with Pittsburgh Steelers beat, you were on Aaron Rodgers' watch only for the past 3 months. Like the Steelers got DK Metcalf back in March, and I thought right then and there, they're not doing that move unless they know that Rodgers is going to be a Steeler this season. Because there's nobody else out there, like maybe Kirk Cousins, but it didn't make any sense of what Atlanta would have had to just say, just done him a solid. And when in the NFL are teams doing solids for their quarterbacks?
Not very often. But you think Steelers fans are excited to tune into the McAfee show every week? Maybe they were already.
I don't know.
It's a pretty popular show.
They like him there.
Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers will do great in the Steel City because, you know, they're deep thinkers and they like to ask a bunch of questions. Mm-hmm. They don't like to take the government or the media's word for anything. And
they do their own research.
They just want to be free thinkers. And Aaron Rodgers is very much that. And the people of Pittsburgh are very much that. And Pat McAfee is very much that. And I think they're very much kumbaya together in that. And look, if you're getting a 3,900-yard passer, 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions last season with the Jets, you're pairing that with DK Metcalf. There was a report that they called Atlanta about Kyle Pitts because there's that familiarity with Arthur Smith there with the Falcons. All that sounds pretty good for Pittsburgh. And their ceiling with Rodgers is probably compete for a Super Bowl or an AFC championship. The floor is 500. But with Mike Tomlin, it feels like the floor is always 500.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he's ever seen the basement, right? That's his calling card, is taking all these teams, and even when they're patchwork and they have aging quarterbacks, which they're doing this yet again. Rodgers is going to be 42 in December, I believe. We saw this at the end of the Roethlisberger era. We saw them trying it with Russell Wilson last year. Mike Tomlin deserves all the credit in the world for piecing this together without having true assets to work with at the most important position for the last 6 years. But I don't view Aaron Rodgers as that. Coming off the Achilles, his numbers, if you look at him on paper last year with the Jets, were fine or better than most. But does he, you said, maybe make the Steelers a Super Bowl contender? I have a hard time getting to that point with him. You look at the Super Bowl odds, championship odds for Pittsburgh, and maybe this is because everyone assumed that Aaron Rodgers was going to sign there already.
Yeah.
But they haven't changed at all in the last 3 days. And that's because I think this team is probably going to achieve what it was going to achieve. They were going to go 9-8, no matter what, no matter who's at quarterback, just because that's what Mike Tomlin is able to do with an elite defense and with a running game that should be improved moving forward. We'll see. Certainly Aaron Rodgers is capable of proving the doubters wrong, proving me wrong, proving any skeptical, maybe he's got a new fire under him to go back and do this and recapture the glory years, and throwing to DK Metcalf and unleashing those Hail Mary balls is going to revolutionize the Steelers offense. I personally doubt that. And I don't think that, I think there's a reason that the odds didn't really change. Now, is he better positioned to win games for Pittsburgh than a rookie version of Will Howard? Of course. Does it put him in the same conversation as Baltimore or Cincinnati or Kansas City? I personally say no.
I don't think so.
I say no.
To your point, Monday, the Steelers over-under total was 8.5. Friday, it was 8.5. So Vegas kind of told you that, yeah, we knew, and this is still what we think. Now, for Pittsburgh, week 1 is a game at New York taking on the Jets. So that'll be interesting for a 1 o'clock kicker to get Justin Fields taking on Aaron Rodgers. But I was listening to you and Matty Ice talk yesterday, and resident Steelers fan, I think, of the station, Cole Bartimes, because Jeff Thedoff doesn't count. There was just apathy with the Rodgers news. And I compare that to when the Browns signed Deshaun Watson. And this is, I think, generally the difference in the fan bases, where Browns fans, minus a handful of them, were elated getting Deshaun Watson, getting a quarterback of that caliber, despite having him not played an actual year of football after fleecing the Houston Texans. I'm not a big Watson fan.
They were focused on the previous franchise version of Deshaun Watson and optimistic about it. And the Steelers are pessimistic.
I think to your point is you look at what he was in Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers. The Browns looked at what Deshaun Watson was with the Houston Texans, and of course you're enamored with that. But I do think this is to give Cole credit. You're like, okay, he's done a lot of great things, but on the other side of 40, how will this look? He'll be there next Tuesday for mandatory minicamp. He'll be with the team for training camp. They've already, it feels like on their social media, the Steelers have anointed him QB1 for the season. He's only going to be making $10 million, which I looked is 24th among quarterbacks on a per-year basis, slightly under Russell Wilson with the Giants and slightly more than Caleb Williams on year 2 of his rookie deal. So it feels very much like, great, he's a commodity that was. Mm-hmm. Can he be part of that? That would give you some excitement, but not until September.
Friendly reminder when you say Rodgers makes him a Super Bowl contender, he has only ever gotten to the Super Bowl one time, right. And most of those Green Bay teams were way better than the Steelers team.
That's a great point. He's got a collection of MVP awards. He's been one of the most prolific passers in the regular season of anyone we've ever seen at the NFL level, but that is true about big games and even NFC championship appearances and wins for him. He's not been at the same level, certainly not as a Mahomes, but even, Brett Favre put them in position more with the Packers, and that you were comparing different eras and different opportunities. But it's been a long time since I think Aaron Rodgers truly sparked fear in an opponent. And this version of part of what made him so dangerous, thinking back 5, 6, 7 years ago, was the ability to get outside the pocket. And if he was able to use his legs and combine that with that arm strength and the ability to stretch the field, that's what really made him dangerous. He doesn't have that anymore. Coming off the Achilles injury, being at that age, Father Time is undefeated. We say that all the time. It's cliche. It's true. And if you're trying to build around a quarterback at this age, Aaron Rodgers is having to do things in a different way than he did earlier in his career. I've seen a ton of comparisons to Rodgers going to Pittsburgh as when Brady went to Tampa Bay or when Peyton Manning went to Denver. Both of those guys didn't necessarily have to change the way that they played, the way that they thought about the game, to highlight their strengths. Aaron Rodgers is having to evolve his game and doing that now in a different offense, in a different culture, different environment in Pittsburgh than he's been in before. I don't think that should be minimized. That's going to be a pretty big challenge for Mike Tomlin and for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, it makes it fascinating that now the AFC North has Lamar Jackson, has Joe Burrow, 2 MVP candidates, has a 3-4-time MVP in Aaron Rodgers, and then what the Browns are going to be doing at quarterback. As a Browns fan, I don't think they have an actual plan. We'll discuss next at Sports Saturday on The Fan.
Unlike your deadbeat uncle, we'll never leave you stranded in a ditch when you were 6. This promo may have been a touch too specific. The Fan.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify.
A healthy body needs good food. This summer, the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce is sponsoring Sun Meals, a summer food program where kids eat free. Children under 18 receive healthy meals and no sign-up is required. Locations may be right in your neighborhood. Call 1-866-348-6479 or visit education.ohio.gov/kidseat for meal locations and times. That's education.ohio.gov/kidseat.
You know that thing you've always been too scared to go for? It seems like you'll never have the guts. Then a cancer diagnosis. And doing that thing becomes way less scary. I would know. I've always wanted a black belt. And today, the only thing standing in my way is a few wooden boards. It's been a lot of hard work and 5 years since I beat cancer at Ohio Health. Bring it on. You keep making plans.
Visit ohiohealth.com/keep making plans to learn more.
No matter where you are, Coughlin is there, in store or online. CoughlinCars.com. 13 new car brands, over 1,000 pre-owned vehicles, 16 convenient locations for sales, service, and parts, plus 4 state-of-the-art collision centers. CoughlinCars.com. Shop locally owned, CoughlinCars.com. Coughlin has the car for you.
I think I just wrote the song of the summer. Listen.
That's just you drinking a big gulp from Speedway.
And just 89 cents for any size with Speedy Rewards? That's a hit. The convenience stores of Speedway. Valid through 6/24/25. See app for full terms.
This is Corey Sickles with Safe Harbor Retirement Group. If you are retired or in the planning stages, we can help you maximize your income. Visit safeharboroh.com to schedule a complimentary meeting. safeharboroh.com.
Boating season is finally here, and Buckeye Lake Marina is your go-to destination for all your on-the-water needs. With the largest inventory in Central Ohio, you can choose from top brands like Bennington, South Bay, Crown Line, and more. Buckeye Lake Marina has it all. Pontoon boats, luxury tri-toon boats, even merch. Open 7 days a week to serve you better. Find your next dream boat at Buckeye Lake Marina. Visit BuckeyeLakeMarina.com today for all your on-the-water needs. The good life, the lake life, starts at Buckeye Lake Marina.
Join the Fan weeknights at 6 for the Buckeye Show. And if you're asking if it's just a bunch of homers rooting for all things Ohio State, yes it is. Proud to be your flagship home of the Buckeyes, the Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here. Spring weather has arrived, and we all know what that brings. Warmer weather and severe storms. Well, when bad weather hits, we all know it can cause leaky roofs or even damage to your siding and gutters. The Roofing Guys are your local experts in roofing, siding, and gutters and more, providing top quality through every roof every time. So it's just a small repair, full replacement, or even peace of mind. You need to contact my guys, the Roofing Guys, 614-626-7000, or visit them at theroofingguys.com. That's theroofingguys.com.
Save big money on everything now at Menards. Keep your garage, basement, or workshop clean with a new wet-dry vacuum from Shop Vac. It's not only perfect for the garage, but also works great for everyday messes around the house. Save big on Shop Vac when you shop at Menards. Check out all our Shop Vac products in store. And don't forget to view our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
He shoots, he scores! No matter your sport, it's a great time of year to be a fan. But the fun stops when you or a loved one can't control your gambling. At Maryhaven, we're here to help. Whether it's gambling, drugs, alcohol, or mental health, you don't have to go it alone. With in-person, virtual, and group options, Maryhaven meets you where you are. Always judgment-free. Go to maryhaven.com today. That's maryhaven.com.
That's are us. When dreams sunk in, that's are us.
Right now, get $1,500 off a shower or tub replacement or $3,000 off a full bathroom remodel, plus low to no monthly payments. Call 380-225-BATH to schedule your free estimate or go to bathsareus.com. 380-225-BATH.
That's are us. When dreams sunk in, that's are us.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Aaron White with your 10 weather impact forecast here for our Saturday. A mix of clouds and sunshine this afternoon. High temperatures into the upper 70s to around 80. We may see a pop-up shower or thunderstorm, but otherwise should stay mostly dry. Showers and storms roll back in here after midnight tonight into our Sunday with highs into the 70s. And showers and storms will be again possible on Monday. Highs back into the upper 70s. And that's a look at your 10 weather impact forecast here on 97.1 The Fan.
An encyclopedic knowledge of sports and other random things you may or may not care about.
I think I found my mentor.
Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan. Live, local, and still slightly drunk.
I'm not drunk, all right? I just have a speech impediment.
This is Fan Sports Saturday.
All right, so only in the history of anything has hope been a good plan once, and that was when the rebels attacked the Death Star. Every other time, hope's a terrible plan.
Well, that was a new hope.
Yeah. It was the only time.
Fresh hope.
Only time you said, well, we hope we can get them, we can catch them with their pants down. We hope we can get the missiles into the Death Star's core. And before that, you even hoped you could get the plans off of Scarif into the rebels' hands so that they could figure out the weakness in the Death Star. It's the only time hope's ever worked as a plan.
Also, really reliant on the Force.
Yep.
And I don't think we got a lot of that right now.
I mean, I get it. You know, you're hitting womp rats and you think it's the same thing as putting missiles into a Death Star. But yeah, this is.
Turns out it was. He was right.
He was right. He was absolutely right. Damn it, Luke. You did it. You did it, man. And then they built another Death Star, and they blew that one up.
He's so good.
He's really the MVP of the universe if they're going to give that out. But
are you saying that won't work for Michigan? Is that what you're saying?
Boy, the hope that they have is that, like we've been talking about, unserious people taking unserious action to solve serious problems is more to the Michigan man's defense. And I had teased the Browns and their hope for a quarterback, and I guess I'll pay off on that real quickly by saying, well, we've got 4 quarterbacks. Hope one of them works.
Well, see, I threw a dart. It was like there's so many things that hope could be reliant on this weekend. And I didn't think we were going with the Browns right away.
Well, now we're done with the Browns.
Because I completely forgot about your tease.
Well, again, putting the Browns in the pine box because, again, they're going to go and say, well, we hope one of them can play well enough in training camp that we can throw them out there. Again, as a Browns fan, play the rookie. If they're all 4 the same, I have no interest in Kenny Pickett. I know what Joe Flacco can give you. He's in case of emergency break glass. You drafted 2 quarterbacks. Throw the best one out there and see if maybe this year, next year, 2 years from now, he can be a competent starter.
I never think of, it's funny, we were looking at the sort of Pittsburgh pessimism, and you were contrasting that with some optimism that existed for Browns fans with Deshaun Watson. And I never really associate Cleveland fandom with looking for silver linings and bright sides.
Oh, they don't go hand in hand ever.
But it feels like there's been part of that with Shedeur, where it's like, oh boy, these rookie camp performances, these OTAs, look out for Shedeur.
He's been playing with the 3s and the 4s, if there are even such thing as a 4th team in OTAs, guys that won't make the final roster against other guys who won't make the roster. So while I don't want to poo-poo what he's been doing too much because it's been glowing out of Cleveland, the temper those expectations because he's not going with the ones and the twos. That's been Dylan Gabriel and that's been Kenny Pickett.
Yeah. So I love the way that you put it. What's the plan here? No plan. Just 4 guys of varying skill sets and athletic profiles. Throw it at the wall. Maybe Kevin Stefanski can make something out of it.
From Ohio State fans that you've talked to, what is their hope with regard to the NCAA and how they're going to punish Michigan, if at all, for their sign-stealing scheme?
It's been a little all over the map. And only from a perspective of everyone, both Ohio State fans, I think college football fans in general that don't live in Ann Arbor, and definitely college football coaches around the country, they all believe that it is critical for the integrity of the game. And that sounds overblown and hyperbolic, but this is not. Now, recruiting is part of it with the Committee on Infractions hearing. They are repeat offenders, but this is not a NIL thing. This is not a cheating to get players. The scouting and the links that Connor Stallions took it really troubles every other program except the one that won a national championship while doing it. And they would like to see penalties attached to that. And if you ask Ohio State fans, and I have this conversation with them a lot, well, you have to take away, you have to vacate wins. If the NCAA did that for tattoos 14 years ago, and that team didn't even win a national championship, you got to take that trophy away. You have to have the record book reflect that they cheated, that these were ill-gotten gains. It's got to be erased from the record books. I personally, as I look at it, I don't think that really carries any weight. That allows Michigan to get off free. We all saw the game being played.
Yep.
The trophy has been in the case. The T-shirts have been sold. All those things. It's not going to change it. We're not going to reprogram our brains and wipe it from the memory banks. Say, no, that didn't really happen the way we remembered. So it has to be, I think, something that is continually felt moving forward. And I think that's the way that most people around the college football landscape, fans, administrators, coaches, feel. And you hear the only counter argument that people use. Reiser is like, these current players, they weren't part of that. They shouldn't have to face the repercussions. And I mentioned this with Maddie on Friday. That doesn't matter. You now are allowed to go. You are free to go. If you want to stay at Michigan, you can stay at Michigan. But you have to face a postseason ban. You cannot be contending for championships. This is a lack of institutional control. So the institution has to be punished. And it's easier than ever for these players to leave. And if they don't want to face that, if they don't want to ride it through one more year and maybe hope that Michigan is back in position to compete for those in 2026, so be it. They chose to go there, these players. And Bryce Underwood knew that this was a potential outcome for Sherrone Moore. You know, he took that check anyway. And he's saying he rolled in school and enrolled on campus and has been going through spring practice and all those other things, knowing that this could potentially happen for them. So it's not a surprise. It seems to only be a surprise to Michigan and Ward Manuel and Sherrone Moore that they would dare punish them. Everybody else is like, well, yeah, that's what rules are in place for. Like that's what you agreed to do. And you've acknowledged and admitted.
You gave Sherrone Moore a 2-game suspension because of this. And then on the flip side say, well, we actually, in fact, did nothing wrong. But since you thought maybe we did something wrong, fine, we'll do this small gesture that means nothing in the grand scheme of things based off of the games that Moore's slated to miss in 2025. Michigan doesn't have a president currently. Santaono fled. It did feel like
without a guarantee of a job,
jumping off the ship as it maybe encroaching on the iceberg. He goes to Florida thinking he's getting the job. Then their state academic system says, no, in fact, we do not want you part of this school. And the reasons behind that are stuff we're not going to get into. But the idea that Ward Manuel's kind of just running around doing whatever he would like as just the athletic director with no real boss, but the boosters and donors that pay his salary. Now, today, meeting with the NCAA's Committee on Infractions in Ann Arbor to, I imagine, sit there and just argue for 2 hours in the hopes that you wear them down with your Michigan man nonsense, that they just say, you know what, fine.
We're done here.
We're done. Everybody's tired of this. College football fans don't really care about this. You got the 2-game suspension. We're going to maybe put an asterisk on your season, and we'll have that up in a press release, and that's it.
Yeah, I think if anybody was probably excited about the College Sports Commission being unveiled on Friday at 9:30, it was probably a new hope for Michigan fans. Yep. Oh, well, the NCAA just got dismantled. We don't even have to worry about their rules anymore. Hey, that doesn't matter. The CSC, they're gonna worry about this. This baseball guy, this Brian Seeley, well, what does he care? He doesn't know anything about this case. Like that might have been the only fan base on Friday night that was like, you know what? This is exciting news.
So you're telling us there's a chance now.
Goodbye, Committee on Infractions.
Because it was after the 2023 Michigan team that won the 2024 national championship game is a damn good football team.
They were.
And after the game, after they beat Washington in the title tilt, Charlie Baker comes out and says they won that game fair and square. And that told me, okay, they've got no interest in doing anything to vacate anything from that season. And the idea that Brian Seeley, who's the new college athletics czar, he's a legal guy from Major League Baseball. Charlie Baker, former governor of Connecticut, is a politician. They're not interested in making any of their stakeholders angry. The University of Michigan and its television partners in the Big Ten and Tony Petitti, they're people they do not want to make angry because that makes their job harder. And the one thing that I've learned from all of this in my years of doing sports is people do not want to work very hard.
Right.
And if you make it hard, they will less likely to do the right thing.
That was Michigan's entire strategy here. You don't often anymore see these cases get all the way to Indianapolis, go into these conference rooms and have these arguments because you have negotiated settlements. You have opportunities to self-impose penalties. And in almost every case, as long as you take them seriously, which this has been Unserious Saturday, the show on the Fan.
It's been unserious since we started doing the Saturday Spectacular.
But like every story that we've talked about has been about unserious people. And the way that I think, to your point, Michigan thought, if we continue to fight this, and you've seen this in other cases, like Memphis just putting a guy who's ineligible on the field, on the basketball court, and like, well, what are you going to do about it? I think Michigan thought that would be their strategy in this case because everyone else has said, all right, well, we admit we broke the rules. This is what everyone agreed to in the guidebook. These are what the penalties should be. We'll do that. Michigan even got to that point where they said, yep, we broke the rules. And then they thumbed their nose at the NCAA and said, we're going to suspend Sharon Moore for 2 games, but they're not going to be the first 2 games. We're going to pick the punishment. And he wants to coach against Oklahoma. It's his alma mater. How dare you take away this magical moment from him? Meanwhile, they were clearly taking away moments from student athletes and other coaches with gaining an unfair advantage on the playing field. They didn't seem to have any concern about that at that point in 2022 and 2023. But that's also why the people that were involved, the teams that they faced, and I know for certain in Columbus, they still think about what happened in those games. And even if they face a postseason ban, that's still not going to make Ohio State whole from that. And as you said, those were really good teams. The one in 2023 was really good. They probably didn't need to cheat.
Probably not.
But they did anyway. And did that make a difference in those games against Ohio State? We will never actually know for sure. But that part of the uncertainty is why some repercussions that actually impact the future of the program are demanded elsewhere. So you say, and I think you're right, most college football fans have checked out on this. Like, it happened, the games happened, there's nothing that you can do about it. The people that were involved and impacted, and this is not just about a rivalry and Ohio State fans wanting Michigan fans to suffer. It's not about that. For the people that have millions tied up in it, and this extends to those broadcast partners that you mentioned, they don't want to make Michigan angry. They also don't want a product that people have to question. And that now trickles down to betting and other influences. But this is an integrity of the game issue. It is why I think it would be a huge disappointment. And if it comes out that they don't face any sort of forward-facing postseason ban, scholarship reduction, I think then you'll see a lot more outrage. And if it's just a 1-year deal, I think people will move on quickly.
Yeah, it's what I want is different from what I think is going to happen. What I want is to see that program kicked into the Spartan pit. Like the audacity that the Michigan man has to think he can, in Connor Stallions, bark into Jim Harbaugh's ear, like just a random assistant yelling at a head football coach on a game day Saturday, and then the very next weekend or the next time Michigan has a bye, he's dressed up in Central Michigan garb. The audacity of that, you can't just allow that to just go away. Like, that needs to be something that you tell everybody is unacceptable. And how you do that is very much in a punishment that actually hurts.
Yep.
I don't have any faith that the NCAA and Charlie Baker and this new college sports commission is going to do it. But that meeting that's going on today is probably the last. They will be meeting together, and then the NCAA will come out with its ruling. Nothing likely will come of this. My favorite thing from, and Angelique Chengelis of the Detroit News has done wonderful reporting on all of this. I encourage you to read everything that she's wrote on this and Michigan football. But the quote that stuck out to me was, Harbaugh will not attend the hearing, according to his lawyer, Tom Mars. It's Jim Harbaugh, the former head coach of the Michigan Wolverines. From Tom Mars, quote, he probably doesn't even know a hearing is going on. He's probably tending his chickens in L.A. or taking them to the beach, end quote.
It's good to know he's as weird as ever.
Never change, Michigan, man. Ryan Day needs to stop doing Tony Petitti's job. That's in 2 minutes. It's Sports Saturday on The Fan.
This is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health, where we've successfully treated thousands of men for low testosterone and helped them feel like their old selves again. Please take a moment and listen to how we help Billy.
Hi, I'm Billy Hatcher, a former professional baseball player, and I'm a patient at Tri-State Men's Health. Before I started the treatment, it was like my body was sore all the time, and I was feeling very, very sluggish. One day, I would be full of energy, and the next day was like, where did all my energy go? And since I've started, my body hasn't felt this good in a long time. I feel like, I'm not 21 to 25 again. It's just been great. I feel very, very comfortable coming here. When you have the energy, it's amazing. You get to do so many other things that you couldn't do prior to that. If you're tired of hurting in the mornings, you want to improve your health, you want to feel better, give a call to Tri-State Men's Health. I promise you, you will feel better.
Thanks, Billy. It's true. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Summer is officially here, and that means rising temperatures. You're going to be thinking about how you can keep cool all summer long. What's the best plan here? Well, one of the ways you can beat the heat and keep the air conditioning you're paying for in your home is to get Window Nation's energy-efficient vinyl windows. And now's a great time to do it. They've got a semi-annual sale where you buy 4 windows, you get 4 windows for free. Plus a free entry door when you purchase a whole house full of windows. No money down, no interest, no monthly payments until 2027. It's a deal that can't be beat. You're getting a great deal from Window Nation because they are high-efficiency windows that are also very affordable. They do that by working directly with the top window manufacturers in the country, which means all their windows are assembled right here in the USA. But don't wait on that semi-annual sale. You buy 4 windows, you get 4 windows free. Free entry door when you purchase a house full of windows, plus pay nothing until 2027. You've got to schedule your estimate today. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. Once again, that number, 866-90-NATION or windownation.com.
We test marketed naming the show A Guy and His Butlers.
Oh, that is very touching.
But we thought Bishop and Friends had a better ring to it.
Weekday mornings at 9.
The Fan. Garnish your Bloody Mary with sports talk. You're listening to Fan Sports Saturday.
So if you haven't heard the news, the NCAA and House settlement was approved late last night. So $2.8 billion is going to be paid in damages over the next decade to student athletes who've competed since 2016 and missed out on NIL opportunities. This does not include our friend Tyvis Powell, who I'm sure will not think much more of it after yesterday, after the news comes out. But, Austin, there will be athletes that might challenge that statute of limitations.
They sure will.
Like, I think there were some before this settlement went to the final stages of it that were like, no, we played before that. And the NCAA absolutely, 30 years they've stopped athletes from making what they think is a fair share on a market that they've controlled.
Yeah. How would you determine that that's the actual season that you should start? It seems like that's a fair legal question to ask. And how would the NCAA answer it? Probably the same way that they always have. Yeah, good point. Yeah, we'll move it. We'll find more money. We'll have another judge look at this. We'll have another this. I think the announcement on Friday night is significant from the perspective that college administrators that have fought this for years and years and years admitted, acknowledged, and are planning to pay the players. That part is significant. The rest of us to act at all like this is done and dusted and everything is going to be perfect moving forward is not even close to reality, because that is just one question, just one potential lawsuit. There are thousands that could then be opened up here. The first time that NIL Go, this College Sports Commission, what they're using to try and approve through a clearinghouse if a deal is a thumbs up or a thumbs down, the first time that one of those gets rejected, well, there's a lawsuit. How are you going to keep me? How are you going to determine what's fair market value? You don't know. This has never been tested. All of this stuff, they can agree to it, and they're saying, with the CSE, you're going to sign up on the dotted line and you're going to agree to these rules. Well, that's also not how life works. No. And you're not going to be able to force everyone to accept a salary cap or accept a minimum amount. If someone offers you a contract, Reiser, they say, well, we'd like to give you $2 million to host Fan Sports Saturday every year. Great. They don't have somebody else come and say, well, that's way above market value. You don't deserve that.
Yeah,
who are you to tell me that? They offered me the deal. I accepted it.
Jerk.
Just because it is someone else is willing to pay you more doesn't mean that that's the market. The value is determined by what people are willing to pay and if someone is willing to do the job. So the second that these are challenged again, that's one lawsuit. That could be here. That could be there. That could be anywhere in college football, college basketball, golf, whatever. Anytime you shoot down one of these NIL deals and you say who's determining that? Well, that's another lawsuit. So this stuff on Friday night, that it's done. College Sports Commission is done. You have a czar. It's done. Everybody is happy. They're patting each other on the back. It's not over.
They probably did a lot of back patting.
We did it, guys.
Good job, everyone involved. Charlie Baker, Tony Petiti, Greg Sankey. Hey, everybody, we did it. This was a wonderful job out of everybody. Cannot wait for the season to begin. Football, we love college athletics. We love the student-athlete experience. Things are wonderful now, when in fact, things are kind of the same, and also I have so many more questions.
Yeah, and that's the part.
You're kicking the can down the road.
They have kicked all of these cans for years and years and years. And they're running out of road, honestly, because the end of this street that we all saw coming was collective bargaining and employment status. Now, they've walked up to the precipice here. There's a bunch of cans that are hanging out at the end of this dead end. And like, oh, no, we suddenly have to recycle all this. How are we going to do that? Well, they picked up one can, and it's this one. Look at this one. It's paying athletes.
We're doing something.
Here we go. It's in the trash can. We did it, guys. We cleaned it. Oh, no. Well, this can, it came in a 30-pack. Oh, boy.
Whoops. 29 more.
Because it is simply not done. And I do think that it is significant and worth celebration that they achieved this one goal that we all knew they had to, paying players. But they have not put collective bargaining in place. They have not given them employment status. And I know that that's not easy, and it might not even be feasible across every state because of labor laws. I understand some of the complications. And I understand that one of the most important ones was them acknowledging that they needed to pay them in the first place. But this process is now only just beginning. That is step one. It is not college athletics has been saved. That's not the point that we're at right now. And we may never be at that point as long as these same people are being involved, which they will be, because now they're just borrowing another lawyer from another sport, and another broadcast person is going to be involved in the commissioner status for leagues. Like, you have to, if you're going to bring clarity to the competitive landscape of college sports, and you are modeling most of this off of the professional level in the NFL, that is what maintains the integrity of their sport, is collective bargaining and free agent status and rules and contracts. We don't have that in place yet. This is step one.
It's incredible because when you talk about like OTAs and you talk about free agency and you talk about paying players and you talk about inducements, all of that exists in some form or fashion in college athletics. They're just too afraid to call it what it actually is. So they just do these, like, they paint in broad strokes. And to your point about, making with state labor laws, if you're going to the government and you're actually going to get them to be serious about this, then it would make it so beneficial for you to make them employees. Then you could have the government rule on national labor, on a national labor issue that this would encompass. But you're not interested in doing that. So going to the government's a complete waste of time. What also came from this, and you've heard Ryan Day talk about this for a little over a year now, is scholarship limits and roster sizes. Yeah. And what this settlement approval does, it eliminates scholarship limits for sports in favor of roster sizes. And so Ryan Day, in an interview with ESPN's Adam Rittenberg earlier this week, says that his team benefited from a larger roster, noting that roster limits of 105, which is what this House settlement's going to put that cap on. It's going to provide some challenges. From Coach Day, quote, "I'm concerned concerned about 16 or 17 games with a 105-man roster. With 120, it's about maxed out. You have to stay healthy, and all it takes are a couple of injuries during that long of a run. But in the NFL, you can hire somebody off waivers. In college football, you can't. I'm concerned about the length of the season with 105. Now, what the settlement approval is going to allow is that this upcoming season, you can have a little bit over 105 because maybe you've already promised some guys or you've recruited some guys that are already on campus that you can kind of grandfather them into your roster. But those designations have to be in place by July 6th. Following that, you've got to be at 105 or under 105 moving forward. And it just flies in the face of seriousness when you say, okay, here's the roster limit, but we're going to have more games we need from you because we're going to expand the college football playoff.
And when we've talked about the House settlement as it applies to Ohio State, they were prepared. The contracts were in place. The last year's signing class, the returning players, roster retention, that was all discussed, and that was all baked into the budget for Ohio State this year. But the part that wasn't, and you mentioned this earlier in the show, going back and forth, everyone was arguing or they were uncertain about what this was going to mean for scholarship or roster caps. And that was the part where Ohio State couldn't guarantee anything. They didn't know. And this may seem like not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. They're probably a bunch of players that you've never heard of. But they had to tell a handful of walk-ons and a lot of guys who are really promising players. And at one point, like someone like Reese Stockdale.
That's exactly who I thought of with this.
Who was one of Marvin's workout buddies, constantly on the jugs, constantly in the facility together. Like when he was healthy, it was like, boy, this guy, he might be able to actually do something at Ohio State. It's remarkable. He's got a little CJ Saunders in him. Like he might just make this happen for Ohio State. Well, they had to say, we can't guarantee that it's going to be 120. Yeah. If you have another option to go somewhere else, you may need to take that. And so, that happened with, a running back, happened with Reese Stockdale here, but there's 5 or 6 guys that Ohio State would have very much liked to keep, not just for depth, but potential upside down the road. And they to their credit, they said, we can't guarantee this for you. It may happen, and we'll be sad if you go, and we'll be sad if they rule in the House settlement that we can go to 120 and have grandfathered these guys in. But they went to them, said, you're good enough. Guarantee yourself a situation. And so that did impact Ohio State in a slightly negative way, something that they can overcome, of course, but not something that they wanted to have happen.
Yeah, with all of this, Ohio State is one of the unique spots that can overcome really all of these challenges. And it doesn't, if you're asking, well, how does this affect Ohio State? In the grand scheme, not a lot. But there are just little intricacies that will have rippling effects, I think, throughout college football when you're talking about the overall health of the sport that we love more than anything here.
Yeah.
And that, I think, was what makes this so important. Also, for the college football playoff, I think Ryan Day, I understand why Ryan Day's saying this. I wish it wasn't him who was doing the things that are being said. That's next. Sports Saturday on The Fan.
We're the highest rated sports radio station in America. There's no joke there. We just are. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
We could tell you what makes Giant Eagle special, but we think our customers say it best.
I love the fresh produce. I love the fresh meat.
I'm pretty sure the fish guy knows me by now. We're buds.
I love to grill. That alone keeps me coming back.
The people that work here are so nice and so helpful.
Everybody loves the cakes from Giant Eagle.
On every shelf, in every department, we're always going for better because being your Giant Eagle matters.
This is my Giant Eagle.
This is my Giant Eagle.
This is my Giant Eagle.
When an orthopedic injury or condition gets in the way of life, there is nothing more important than finding a physician you can trust. At Orthopedic One, you'll find Central Ohio's most trusted team of orthopedic experts, ready to listen to your concerns and work with you toward the best possible outcome. In fact, more people trust Orthopedic One than any other practice in Central Ohio. Start with the specialists. Start with orthopedic1.com.
I think I just wrote the song of the summer. Listen.
That's just you drinking a big gulp from Speedway.
And just 89 cents for any size with Speedy Rewards? That's a hit. The convenience stores of Speedway. Valid through 6/24/25. See app for full terms.
You had a solid retirement dream. Sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But with an unpredictable economy and the future feeling uncertain, you're wondering if that equity will still be there when you're ready. What if you could bank that equity right now? With Truehold, you can sell your home for its current value, so you can access your equity today. You can bank the cash now and stay in the home you love with an easy standard lease. TrueHold even covers property taxes, insurance, and repairs. And since TrueHold hands over your equity in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you'd like. Don't let a shifting economy put your hard-earned equity at risk. Visit TrueHold.com and receive their competitive offer on your home in just 48 hours, based on its current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without moving. That's TrueHold.com.
Come into your local AAA Car Care Plus and save $40 on any repair of $150 or more. Only at AAA Car Care Plus locations. And on the plus side, AAA members save more. Offer valid through June 30th. See store for details.
Joining us on this episode are real Spectrum customers, Monique and Greg. We hear your family is a big fan of Spectrum.
Family of 4, we have about 18 devices last time I counted.
2 teams require a lot of speed. Everything they do is online.
There's gaming, there's streaming. Spectrum is perfect for us. I mean, it just seamlessly connects all our devices with lightning speed.
Sounds like Spectrum is really committed to keeping you connected.
It's amazing.
Rothman and Ice.
When you have a star player, you commit to him and you worry about everything down the road. You do everything you can to capitalize on this window of time that you have.
Rothman and Ice. Weekdays at noon.
Sponsored by Pella Columbus.
The Fan.
Summer 2025 is bringing something wild to your Columbus Zoo. The all-new North America Trek opens this summer, a reimagined zoo region inspired by your national parks. Get ready to get up close with Mexican wolves, black bears, river otters, bald eagles, and more in breathtaking new habitats. Discover local wildlife and conservation in action like never before. Plan your visit today. Visit columbuszoo.org for details.
Don't miss the Right Rug Flooring Outlet Super Sale. Save up to 80% on truckloads of floors and more, including tile starting at 19 cents a square foot and a massive selection of laminate, luxury vinyl, and carpet, all drastically reduced. Cabinets and lighting fixtures, too. Save up to 80% during the Right Rug Flooring Outlet Super Sale on Pop Road in Whitehall. 24-month financing is available with approved credit. Hurry, the Outlet Super Sale ends June 22nd. Dealers welcome.
It's been a great run. Care Heating and Cooling has achieved goals I could only imagine 30 years ago. But now it's time for the next generation to take over. This is Mike Weens, now the retired founder of Care Heating and Cooling with my sons, Dennis and Ryan.
Dad, as Care grew over the years, you had many opportunities to sell Care to one of the big conglomerates that are buying companies all over Central Ohio. So tell our customers why you decided to keep Care in the family.
After talking about Care's values for over 30 years, I couldn't bear the thought of Care becoming the kind of company I was warning our customers about. I know the two of you will continue to treat our customers as I would, with honesty and integrity.
We will, Dad. In 2024, Care was awarded a BBB Torch Award for Ethics and was named the Lennox Partner of the Year. You don't earn those awards by leaving cat toys behind.
Call Care Heating and Cooling at 1-800-COOLING or schedule an appointment online at careheatingandcooling.com. When you need a company you can trust.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Patriot Air Comfort Systems in Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep your home comfortable. The Fan.
We firmly believe it's appropriate to tailgate before a youth soccer game. You're listening to Fan Sports Saturday.
Eric Reiser, Austin Ward playing radio till about 1 o'clock today. Then we'll kick it over to some ESPN national coverage before the Reds and the Diamondbacks. They got a doubleheader this afternoon at Ohio's Queen City. I think you're looking at a 2:10 first pitch in Game 1. They were rained out last night and was supposed to be the start of a 3-game series with the Diamondbacks. But 2:10 first pitch there. We'll join around 1:40. So you have that to look forward to on this Sunday afternoon, which is nice. Busy sports weekend. I forgot the Belmont Stakes were going on. And looking at it yesterday, I think like Journalism, Sovereignty are the two horses. And I think they won the Preakness and the Derby respectively. And I wondered to myself, like, why they're doing all of this in the span of like a month?
Yeah. I think so. I've never been a huge horse racing fan. Like my father-in-law's like, you gotta watch all these.
I'm a spectacle guy, and those are spectacles.
They're spectacles, but you would think that you would try and capture the imagination by spreading it out. And I think the only thing that I really read about it was a bunch of people complaining about how compressed the calendar was. You have this Triple Crown, and not all the champions are going to even care about running in all of them. They can't risk it. It's too short of a turnaround. Like, for racing fans, I can't speak for them. Wouldn't you prefer to have some interest spread out throughout the summer? Wouldn't it be better to have all of the horses, the best championship horses in that pedigree, able to compete in all of them? It feels like that's been the pushback, is maybe these are no longer the 3 Triple Crown races if you don't have the best fields in all of them. And I know very little about it. As much as I love to gamble, betting on horses has never been my thing. But
I can't figure out at all.
Yeah, and I guess it's because I've not been good at it the times that I've been out to the track. But yeah, I certainly, when I was younger, I remember seeing that. It's like, oh, the Kentucky Derby, you put that on the bucket list, and you have hundreds of thousands of people there, and it looks amazing. And then you got the Preakness and the Belmont, and all these others. Like, it's reason to get excited. You got to watch it. I'm with you. I didn't know it was today, and there hasn't been enough buildup that I would even think to care about it.
I think NBC's got the coverage of it. 7:04 is post time. They're doing it at Saratoga Springs in New York. It's the 157th running of it. And as I was thinking earlier today, because Joey Chestnut's not going to be doing the famous Nathan's 4th of July hot dog eating contest, I thought there's a perfect chance for horse racing, for some other spectacle sport, or some other sport that relies on the singular spectacles for its yearly nut. That's where you take over. You own 4th of July weekend now that the hot dog eating contest is no longer interesting. And that's what happens when you lose, you lose the spectacle of Joey Chestnut. You lose out on anybody really giving a rip.
Yeah, I think you've solved it. You just sat here.
Welcome, horse racing.
You sat here for 30 seconds on a Saturday in June, and you fixed horse racing.
I would like to think that I'm an idea guy. Hire me, Big Ten. Maybe I can make this easier for you than what your commissioner is making it for the coaches and for the athletic directors in the conference.
Somebody needs to give Tony Petitti some advice, and I think it should be you, because you've got it.
You heard from Petitti yesterday in a statement he released in regards to the settlement approval for House versus NCAA, but since then it's kind of been crickets from him. You've heard reporting of things that he said in closed-door meetings, but the one thing I think for Petitti is you've got some serious changes coming to college football, which is the nut of college athletics for all of your institutions. All 18 of your schools rely so much more on college football than anything else. So wouldn't it behoove you to be, as much as you can, kind of like Greg Sankey, to talk about the sport and the changes that you want to be making towards it? Not having Ryan Day come out there and stump for a expanded playoff model that includes 4 automatic qualifiers from the Big Ten, 4 automatic qualifiers for the SEC, 2 for the Big 12, 2 for the ACC, 1 from the Power 4 plus Notre Dame, and then 3 auto bids. That ain't it, especially when everybody else wants the 5 automatic qualifiers plus 11 at-large bids.
You shouldn't be leaving your college football coaches and the athletic directors to explain your plan, which this is now the first time I heard about Reiser this championship weekend. It wasn't in January or February in the Big Ten. It was 3 years ago. This has been a push, an emphasis, a goal for Tony Petitti and the Big Ten office for a long time. And it's because they think that they can make a lot of money on it. And it's not because they think that it's good for the health of college football as a whole. It's really good for the Big Ten. And every way that they've been able to make more money, they're going to pursue, which is great for the high-end competitiveness of the league. Michigan and Ohio State, one with an asterisk and one for real, won the last 2 national championships. So the league has upped its game and started returning meaningful blows against the SEC and is starting to assert its dominance across the college football landscape. But in this Game of Thrones, Tony Petitti, he's learning some lessons about who you can trust and who you can't trust, because he thinks he's got a partner in Greg Sankey, who then turns around and goes full little finger on him and stabs him in the back and tells the Big 12 and the ACC, hey, he's planning a coup that's going to lock you out. And I think, leaving Ryan Day out there to publicly talk about this and explain it and not have the commissioner lead a unified voice, because guess what? Across the 18 teams in the Big Ten, they do not all agree that this is the best way forward for the league to have this championship weekend, to push for 4 automatic bids. It's going to come with a lot of unintended consequences. But if that's what you strongly believe, Tony Petitti needs to be the one to explain that and not leave it to the devices of every coach in every different outpost of the league.
Because from Ryan Day's perspective, and when he's talking with ESPN's Adam Rittenberg, and the one quote I'll read, quote, "We're in the Big Ten, and we have 18 teams and some of the best programs in the country. I feel like we deserve at least 4 automatic qualifiers." That's from Coach Day to ESPN. When I read that, I hear Gene Smith saying it in my head, because that was very much something he was on every single chance he could, talk about how you have to strengthen the conference. And when you've heard Ross Bjork come and talk about units, and the college football playoff gets a conference so many units, the more teams that they put in. And so if you're any conference, doesn't matter the name, doesn't matter the acronym, doesn't matter how many teams, they want the more teams they get, the more money they make. The more money they make, the more they can share with their athletes, and the more everybody's happy. And so for Ryan Day, he is doing the job of the commissioner by trying to make by trying to put the Big Ten out front, saying we have the best teams, we deserve the most spots, this is the best way forward for the conference. And I commend him for that. I don't love the idea of 4 automatic qualifiers for the Big Ten from a competitive standpoint, because there are 4 teams in the Big Ten that deserve a shot at the college football national championship.
Well, there aren't 16. There aren't 16 teams.
That's a greater question to answer my question with, because every year, are there 12? No. Are there 16? No. But they're going to keep adding these things. And if that's going to be the case, then if you know the SEC, and you should know the SEC is going to do everything they can to do what's best for the SEC. Now, they've, to your point, have little-fingered this to get the Big 12, the ACC, on board with them. Yeah. You need to be doing what's best for you. And by you, I mean Tony Petitti as commissioner of the Big Ten.
And we're still, what's today, the 7th? Mm-hmm. We're 6 weeks away from Tony Petitti, I would guess. I mean, the fan has asked.
Are you going to be there?
Yeah, I'll be there in Las Vegas.
In Las Vegas, okay.
For his State of the Big Ten address, which will really be like the only time he's given public comments about this to anyone. Now, maybe this College Sports Commission or the ongoing debate and Greg Sankey dominating the airwaves and putting out their plan and leading this charge for the 5+11, maybe that will inspire Tony Petitti to do some interviews and talk to some media members. I know that there is not a shortage of requests from every outlet that covers the Big Ten to talk to him. And if he feels like he doesn't have to rush and he can just wait till Las Vegas and talk for an hour, although that hasn't always worked out great either, because I've seen numerous times, whether it was Tony Petitti or Kevin Warren before him or Mike Slide before that or anybody else at SEC Big Ten level, they can filibuster their way through an hour. I was about to say,
at what point are you just filibustering and everybody's glazed their eyes over?
They don't take questions. And I've been critical of Petitti for that, Kevin Warren for that, like everybody who doesn't want to actually outline these plans. I think he's going to have to, because he is being outmaneuvered right now. And I don't agree with this plan. And Ryan Day makes points that I can agree with and some that I don't agree with. I think if you look at the future non-conference schedule that Ohio State unveiled for 2029, it is weak as could possibly be. Navy, Charlotte, Youngstown State, that's a sign of the future here.
Ugh.
If you're not...
That's not safe for work.
If you're guaranteeing 4 spots to the Big Ten, you don't have an incentive to play games like Texas. You can say that it doesn't hurt you and that might make you schedule it more, but it's not going... I think the Alabama and Georgia series are both going to get canceled too, because there's disagreement about the number of conference games being played. The SEC needs to do 9 to match the Big Ten. Petitti and Sankey are arguing back and forth. Like, there's a bunch of different factors at play here, but that's what we're looking at here. If you are guaranteeing spots in the playoff, you don't have an incentive to schedule aggressively, and most programs won't.
It sucks. Everybody poops, everybody pees. But where will you go if you sit in one of these? That's next. Sports Saturday on The Fan.
Question from a listener: do you dopes ever get tired of talking about Ohio State? No. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
The Fan. Get an Eco.
ECO.
Hey, Jerry. Hey, Aaron. Hey, it's that time of year again. What time is that? The time all the air conditioners start breaking down. Oh, that time. Yep, every year.
Get an Eco.
ECO.
Like a swarm of bees. They all get together in a coordinated effort.
You mean the Queen air conditioner tells them all to break down?
Nah, they just get tuckered out in the heat, Aaron. Can we handle all the calls?
Sure, we have a swarm of highly trained coolness experts standing by.
Get an Eco.
ECO.
And we have $3.5 million in new service trucks to get them there the day you call.
The same day? Well, what if you don't call until...
We'll come as late as you'll stay up to let us in. Same day.
That explains all the revving engines.
It's like a beehive of activity, Jerry.
Do you know I invented that weird scoopy thing you serve honey with?
You should invent something for ketchup, Jerry. It's America.
Ooh, now that's an idea.
Get Eco.
ECO.
GetEco.com.
At Kroger, we've lowered prices on over 1,000 items across our stores so you can save even more. Whether you're shopping in-store or online at Kroger, we've lowered prices on thousands of the items your family wants and needs. And with lower prices, your dollar goes further every time you shop with us. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Kroger brand 80% lean ground beef is on sale. 3-pound packages are only $3.99 a pound with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here. Spring weather has arrived, and we all know what that brings. Warmer weather and severe storms. Well, when bad weather hits, we all know it can cause leaky roofs or even damage to your siding and gutters. The Roofing Guys are your local experts in roofing, siding, and gutters and more, providing top quality through every roof, every time. So it's just a small repair, full replacement, or even peace of mind. You need to contact my guys, the Roofing Guys, 614-626-7000, or visit them at theroofingguys.com. That's theroofingguys.com.
When it comes to your roofing, siding, or gutter needs, call Newman Roofing, 614-NEW-ROOF, newmanroofing.com.
I'm an old school Joe. I never lay juice I don't want to lay. I don't hate my money like that. I'd rather lay minus 108 than minus 110, wouldn't you? Prime Sports is Ohio's full-time reduced juice sports book. Download the Prime Sports Ohio app or visit our website, primesportsbook.com. Get a welcome bonus to match your initial deposit up to $400 in bonus bets. And be a member of the Prime Sports family.
Terms and conditions apply. Visit website for details. Must be 21 and present in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Corey Sickles with Safe Harbor Retirement Group. How much income will you need to retire? Let us help make sure you reach your financial goals. Visit safeharboroh.com to schedule a complimentary meeting. safeharboroh.com.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
And I'm Nate Pooterball. In the NHL, Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals saw the Florida Panthers knock off the Edmonton Oilers in double overtime to tie the series at 1 apiece. Brad Marchand scored 8 minutes and 4 seconds into the second overtime to get the 5-4 win. Game 3 is Monday night in Miami. In Cincinnati, the Reds and Diamondbacks saw their game suspended in the 7th inning due to rain, tied at 3. They'll pick up the suspended game today at 2:10 with the regularly scheduled game to follow. Catch the action right here on The Fan. The Guardians dropped Game 1 of their series to the Houston Astros last night 4-2. Jeremy Pena extended his hit streak to 12 games, and Colton Gordon picked up his first Major League win for the Astros. David Fry hit his first home run of the year for the Guardians. Game 2 is this afternoon at 4:10. Breaking sports news when it happens on The Fan, Ohio Sports Destination.
Just because it's the weekend doesn't mean we shut up. This is Fan Sports Saturday.
Eric Reiser, Austin Ward, rolling along for the next hour. Thank you so much for making us a small part of your Saturday. I was looking in the break at ESPN News, and they were airing something called Omega Ball. And I'm going to try to do the best job I can of explaining what I was looking at. It's a large circular field. And did I see 3 soccer goals?
There are 3 teams.
Okay.
Each with 5 players, and they are competing simultaneously. Omega Ball.
So there's 3 soccer balls involved in this, 3 13-minute periods, and we both had the same thought of what the hell. ESPN News is doing ESPN 8 the Ocho, and so it's a day of nonsensical sports. And I wondered to myself, well, ESPN must really need for live sports that they think people are going to watch. And then I remembered news yesterday that ESPN's going to send some college football semifinal games to TNT in 2026 and 2028.
Right.
And think, well, boy, you're sending 2 different messages here with that, because why would you sublease a college football semifinal? I get the first round games, but semifinal games?
Don't really understand that one.
Unless
the best
TNT
rated games
is paying you a gigantic bucket of money for that.
I'm not sure that is really in their budget. That hasn't been their business model. They're still airing AEW.
Wow, gosh, at what point are they just like paying? I guess is the wrestling company paying for the airtime?
Probably. Tony Khan's got money to burn. But
Speaking of unserious people, did he really do an NFL draft trying to sell a wrestling injury?
He did. Yeah.
I'm sure that made
pause for that reference.
I'm sure that made Jaguars fans real thrilled, knowing that the owner or the one making most of the decisions is trying to make people think he really took a pile driver.
Yeah. No, it's fascinating. I don't. A lot of these decisions, we talk about it all the time. It's like they create this inventory, which is what they call games, which is crazy, and I feel dirty saying it, but. And then they pass them around, or they open it up to the highest bidder, and like more money is being made on top of more money. But how would that capture, for example, the greatest broadcast audience for the most important games? And I know that they are the people that are making these decisions. Big Ten commissioners, Tony Petitti, the broadcast partners, Fox, CBS, ESPN, ABC, everybody involved. They are businesses. I understand. I'm coming from it from that perspective with full knowledge that they have to make money and they have to sell sponsorship. They have to sell advertising. But at some point, you also have to reward the fans. This comes back, and I'm going to loop it into the noon kickoff, big noon kickoff with Ohio State and Texas. And people say, well, for the good of the game, you should have your most important games when the most people can watch it. And whether that means it's got to be on this broadcast partner specifically or the biggest audience, they say, well, it's good for the sport. It's good for the game. It's good for the exposure. It's good for the programs. It's good for the athletes. And it's also good for making money. And I think all those things are true. But that should go like double or triple for the most important games of the year. The season opener is important. Is it as important as the semifinal game of the college football playoff that they've spent how many years and how many hours just this summer debating about the format? What's the best way? We've done that in like 6 segments on this show already. Yeah. What's the best way to do this? This is too important. It's the competitive landscape. It's got to be fair. It's got to be equitable. And then you're just like, well, ESPN can do whatever they want, and they're going to put it on this cable channel that you can opt out of on Spectrum now.
You can really opt out of TNT?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I just found that out a month ago.
Max has come a long way.
Because I'm like, hey.
Wow.
I called them 2 months ago. I said, my bill's out of control. What can we do? Well, you can now select 15 cable channels that you want, a la carte. And it's all the ones that you used to think were required. I'm like, I don't have to have TNT.
You're going to miss out on those charmed reruns.
But that's the hard part. So, because and we all have a billion streaming channels and services that we subscribe to, right? I got to have them. Got to have Peacock to watch Money in the Bank.
Got to have 10 TV Plus.
Got to have 10 TV Plus.
Austin Berm.
But that's free. You don't have to pay for that.
Oh, yeah. Hey.
You can get that for free. Don't miss that. But you got to have, because I got to have Raw.
Got to have Netflix.
So I got to have Netflix.
Peacock.
Peacock. Got to have Money in the Bank tonight. You got, and also all of the, Big Ten games that they're going to put on at 7 o'clock.
ESPN's doing their streaming service in the fall.
Well, yeah, very cleverly named. But you have to have all that stuff anyway. So I had the call with them. They said, well, here's what you do. You're just going to go on there and you're going to select 15 cable channels that you want. So not everybody.
Wow.
Because myself, I don't remember even what I chose. I don't know because I'm still not using all 15 of them. I had a hard time just getting to that point. But it's like they may be in a situation with a semifinal game where they have auctioned this off to TNT and not everyone will have it.
And if I remember correctly, and there's oftentimes I don't, when TNT was playing the first round games on their network, it was still an ESPN production. So you still had the ESPN scorebug, you still had the college football playoff on ESPN, but also on TNT. And I think college football got the advertising revenue from this. This was all in a play by David Zaslav, who runs Warner Brothers Discovery, who is the parent company. It gets so in the weeds. But what TNT wanted to do was tell its investors, hey, yeah, we're losing the NBA, but we're also gaining the college football playoff.
Here it comes.
In a way to keep their advertisers from jumping ship, because that's also something I think that TNT probably, I don't want to say pioneered because that gives them credit, started the subleasing sports business.
Yeah.
And to your point, it's like, is that really a good model?
And I don't think that.
No, I would say.
Those are part of the unintended consequences and repercussions when you make these deals. I don't think that any college football czar, if that had existed, let's just say the college football playoff committee, they're sitting down and dealing with ESPN and talking about the broadcast rights. Yes, it's included in the contract. We may be able to sublease these games and loan them out to recoup this massive fee that we're paying you. And you're going to have to sign on the line because the amount of money is so significant. They can't walk away, and they're not going to get it from anybody else. But there's no way that they go to the negotiating table and think, well, they're really going to do that. And they can sell it to anybody. They could have done it to Amazon. They could have done it to Netflix. They could have sold it to anywhere or anyone they wanted to. But that's not what they were hoping for. When you make a deal with ESPN and ABC, you're thinking all of the most important games. You'd never dream that a semifinal would not be getting the full treatment of the mega cast, and that you have McAfee's crew on the sideline. You have, Kirk up in the booth calling that with the A team. That you have, ESPN2 getting the coaches roundtable and whatever. That you have it on 6 different channels. That's what you're anticipating. You're not thinking, oh gosh, is everyone going to be able to get one of the 3 most important games of the year broadcast on their television without signing up for something new? That's not a concern that you're even remotely considering when you're signing that deal.
Get ready, college football fan, because the college football playoff semifinal will be on ESPN, but on TNT in 2 seasons when it's a 19-team playoff or a 20-team playoff, because they'll keep expanding. This is the last year of the 12-teamer. It's also the second year of the 12-teamers. So we will try We will try to do our best to keep you up to date on everything that changes as it constantly changes. And, with the massive amounts of money that are thrown around by these television companies, it does, help Ohio State. It does help the Big Ten. That's why you hear Ross Bjork talk about units. That's why you hear Ryan Day stump for automatic Big Ten teams into the new college football playoff, because that helps with the money that's needed because you're going to be sharing the revenue. Ohio State's also doing the job outside of that in trying to find money. A way that Ross Bjork came up with, or they announced it this week, to find new money is a very interesting choice that Austin and I will discuss next at Sports Saturday on The Fan.
We're known for 3 things: games, conversation, and common man yelling about things only he cares about. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Save big money on protecting your garden now at Menards. Messina's Animal Stopper is a liquid repellent that prevents animals from damaging your garden. Available in a convenient, ready-to-use bottle. It lasts for up to 30 days, regardless of weather and watering. Save big money on Messina's Animal Stopper at Menards. And check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for more great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Hi, this is Bob Masheter from Dick Masheter Ford. Thank you to all of Central Ohio as we head towards 60 years of doing business in the Buckeye State. Dad opened up in 1967 simply trying to offer a better way to buy a car, and we've been working ever since to serve our neighbors. We have served you through wars, recessions, and even a Chinese virus. Here is to serving you and your kids and your grandkids for the next 60 years, except on Sundays when we're closed, because it's the right thing to do. Still 24/7 at masheterford.net. Thanks.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here, and so are the summer savings at RCD RV. Don't miss RCD RV's summer kickoff sale running June 7th through the 21st. New RVs starting as low as $12,995. Now's the time to make a splash this summer. Hurry in. Those deals will not last long. Find unbeatable savings, unforgettable fun, and everything you need to hit the road at RCDRV.com. Visit our locations, Delaware, Heath, and Pataskala, or shop online anytime at RCDRV.com.
This summer, elevate your backyard barbecue game with Napoleon Grills from Billiards Plus in Dublin. Experience the power of Napoleon's infrared sizzle zone, reaching up to 1,800 degrees in just 30 seconds for that perfect steakhouse sear. Stay connected with the Napoleon Home app. Monitor up to 3 temperature probes, all from your smartphone. Built to last with premium steel, the grilling season never ends with Napoleon Grills from Billiards Plus. Visit Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin and transform your patio into a gourmet grilling paradise.
We've discovered the perfect morning ritual, the 2 for $6 breakfast sandwich deal at Tim Hortons. Every sandwich is made to order with a freshly cracked egg and melty cheese, just the way breakfast should be. Choose between savory sausage or hickory smoked bacon, served on a toasted English muffin or flaky biscuit. There's no wrong way to mix and match this tasty deal. 2 breakfast sandwiches, just $6. Perfect. Only at your neighborhood Tim Hortons. At participating U.S. restaurants, single item at regular menu price. Modifications and tax extra. Exclusions and additional terms apply.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. Spring into savings at Ohio Mulch. Get your mulch as easy as ever. Save $50 on home delivery now through Sunday. All you got to do is visit OhioMulch.com today.
Ohio Mulch, landscape supply.
Don't settle for ordinary this summer when adventure awaits. Make memories that will last forever only at your Columbus Zoo and Aquarium, Central Ohio's family destination for fun. Plan your perfect summer trip at columbuszoo.org.
We at The Fan have created a show where you can be a homer, a hater, or whatever you want to be. Your family may not listen to you, but we will. Sundays at 11, it's The Fan Call-In Show presented by ESPN Bet at Hollywood Casino Columbus. You're welcome. Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
A healthy body needs good food. This summer, the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce is sponsoring Sun Meals, a summer food program where kids eat free. Children under 18 receive healthy meals and no sign-up is required. Locations may be right in your neighborhood. Call 1-866-348-6479 or visit education.ohio.gov/kidseat for meal locations and times. That's education.ohio.gov/kidseat.
Common Man here. I want to talk to you about my buddy Bob Capace from Worthington Jewelers. It's rare that a business comes along and offers you such great quality, service, price. If you or someone you love or like, or even strangers on the street tell you they need a jeweler, tell them you got a guy, and that guy is Bob Capace at Worthington Jewelers.
I'm Bob Capace, and I'm your guy.
Worthington Jewelers on High Street in Worthington, worthingtonjewelers.com, where Columbus gets engaged.
He shoots, he scores!
No matter your sport, it's a great time of year to be a fan. But the fun stops when you or a loved one can't control your gambling. At Maryhaven, we're here to help. Whether it's gambling, drugs, alcohol, or mental health, you don't have to go it alone. With in-person, virtual, and group options, Maryhaven meets you where you are. Always judgment-free. Go to maryhaven.com today. That's maryhaven.com.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Aaron White with your 10 weather impact forecast here for our Saturday. A mix of clouds and sunshine this afternoon. High temperatures into the upper 70s to around 80. We may see a pop-up shower or thunderstorm, but otherwise should stay mostly dry. Showers and storms roll back in here after midnight tonight into our Sunday with highs into the 70s. And showers and storms will be again possible on Monday. Highs back into the upper 70s. And that's a look at your 10 weather impact forecast here on 97.1 The Fan.
Matty Ice has a large tattoo on his calf of LeBron eating a lion. I have nothing else to say. Rockman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan. Instead of annoying national people talking to you this weekend, we've opted for annoying local people. This is Fan Sports Saturday.
Eric Reiser, Austin Ward, talking about butts in seats. Earlier this week, Ohio State announced new premium seating in the south end zone stands. This season, they're going to have 9 elevated field-level suites with 12-person capabilities, and on top of that, 400 premium chairback seats with the widest chairback seats in the stadium. And all that ass in those premium seats.
You seem pretty excited about this.
Well, Austin, I'm a crazy person. So when I look for a place to live, I think, where am I going to grocery shopping? And then when I think of going to events, I think of where am I going to use the bathroom?
Okay.
And what excites me about this is they've offered, Ohio State has no description of where you're using the bathroom with these seats because they're going to be expensive. Deposits are at $6,000 for the 400 premium chairback seats. I'm assuming the field level suites are going to be extra expensive for that deposit. And that's just the deposit to get you on the list. Then you got to actually pay for the tickets to the damn thing. Where are you pooping?
So I think you're putting me on the spot.
I am.
Because we had questions. It was like, is the 1922 club, is that going to impact like the photo bunker, berms down there on the field, shooting photos, taking video? Are they going to have to get rid of that? Is that where it's going? Because to me, that would make the most sense. If you're for what you're talking about for convenience, if it's your food, if it's your drink, because it's the all-inclusive package, that's supposed to be the appeal. You might need somewhere to go after that. But my understanding is that is going to be up the tunnel and then on the east side of the stadium. So that could be a little bit of a hike. And then it becomes complicated. You're using the Ohio State player tunnel throughout the game?
Aren't that
to go
isn't
back
that
and
for
forth?
recruits and their families?
Yeah, I'm hoping. We were trying to talk to Ross Bjork about this and a bunch of other things in the coming days, and I think we're going to get some answers about that. But I will add this to the list because I would think that that's where it's got to be. There aren't designated facilities in that photo bunker right there, so it's not hooked up for that. There's porta potties down there for those folks to use, but that would not make sense for the people paying $6,000 for these luxurious wide seat backs or the 12 or the 9
the field
suites,
level suites,
the premium hospitality suites. Like, that's not going to work for them. They're going to be expecting something a little bit nicer, a little more private, a little more luxurious.
Yeah.
And which they deserve for what they're paying.
For the money they're going to be paying for these things, those elevated field level suites. Well, that's where the band is at the current moment. What about the best damn band in the land? Well, the marching band says they're going to move to the north end zone in 2025, sections 3AA and 5AA. So if you can remember back when Ohio Stadium underwent renovations in 2001 to get those south stands, that's where the band sat. They're going back to that location. And I do wonder from an atmosphere standpoint, if you don't have the bands in the south stands, is it going to matter too much?
I don't think so. I think it's been there before, right? It's been in the north.
Yeah.
They said that they're going to, if there were concerns that you wouldn't be able to hear it the same way or the acoustics were going to be different, it's going to be mic'd up differently. And there's going to be new speakers installed in the horseshoe to account for some of that. I guess the only part about that, if they're in the north stands and visiting teams bring their band, are they going to be sitting side by side? Is the noise going to be too much? Who's going to coordinate that? Are they going to rumble down there in the north stands? Like, that part, that could be interesting.
You know, Ross Bjork talks about improving the experience in the stadium all the time and is doing this because of that. Is anyone concerned if they're putting the $6,000 seats in front of the students, the down in front crowd that invades the shot is going to show up?
Yes.
I think if it were me, and nobody's asked me, but I know from talking with people in the program, the student section itself, they would like to move some of that. And I think it needs to be moved. Because if you go anywhere else, virtually anywhere else in college football, certainly when Ohio State is on the road, you see student sections behind the visiting bench.
That's where I think it should be. But to the point of what Ross Bjork's trying to do with all of this is find money.
Yeah.
Do you take the fans that have paid handsomely for those seats behind the opponent's bench and move them for the students? Do they take their money with them?
This is why I say all the time that it is a difficult job that Ross Bjork has. It's why he's compensated at the level he is, that there is not one simple solution. We could say, well, the students have to go over here. That would make it a more boisterous atmosphere. It'd be more imposing for road teams to have to deal with Ohio State student section being right behind the bench. Well, yes, it would. But then the next domino that tips over is how do you replace some of the money? The people that are paying for seats in AA at the 50, those are not cheap tickets. You'd have to replace that. Are they going to pay the same amount to go in the south stands and replace where the students were? No, probably not. So the difficult give and take and balancing act that Ross Bjork has to do to accomplish the goal that you mentioned there of making this a better game day atmosphere is not as simple as moving noon kickoffs to primetime. It is not as simple as putting the students behind a section. It's not as easy as getting rid of knocker ball and coming up with new traditions.
So those are going away?
Well, in some respects, a lot of those are going to go away. They're trying to manage that. This goes back to one of the impetus for some of these changes, which they were forced to do it for the Tennessee College Football Playoff game. They would have done it anyway. Ohio State, Ross Bjork, a bunch of other administrators, they were at the game in Oregon, and they saw like nonstop engagement during the commercial breaks, which does not exist in the horseshoe really at all. Some people like knocker ball. Some people don't.
I'm one of them.
Some people like seeing Brutus race a student and never lose. Some people don't.
Yeah.
But who
are these people? Do you like that?
No, I don't like it.
Oh, you don't like it?
No.
Okay, because I wanted to ask, who are these people that are anti-fun?
Well, it's not that it's not fun. It's just they're so heavily sponsored. And I think people know, like,
got to find the money.
You do have to find the money again, and that's why I'm not saying get rid of knocker ball, because I am in the minority on that. I'll raise my hand. I know most people really like it, and it gets a good chuckle almost every single week. But you have to have sponsored elements, and Ross Bjork has to manage all of that. But they saw what was happening at Autzen Stadium where it's like, okay, well, this is the song that they're going to play at this time in the first quarter, and nobody left to go to the bathroom, or they were all singing throughout. And like the engagement of the fan base that Oregon had that day compared to what has become overall, I believe that the Horseshoe is still one of the best environments in college football. The fact that we are all in it on a week-to-week basis sometimes makes it feel like it is ebbing and flowing or not as good as it could possibly be. But they were comparing some of the things that they were doing and the fact that they feel that there have been games where it has been less than enthusiastic, or that people don't feel the need to stick around into the third and fourth quarter of these blowout games, which I can also understand. There's other things to do, and Ohio State wins 95% of the games that it plays. But it's all to say that like, Ross Bjork, any solution that he's going to come up, I applaud the fact that he is finding them and trying to come up with them. That's great. And they're not all going to make everybody happy. And these hospitality suites apply to a very small portion of Ohio State's fans and a very small portion of the people that are going to be in the Horseshoe. But he has to weigh 1,000 different things to accomplish this goal of making the Horseshoe more modern and more exciting and everything else, that any other buzzword that you want to attach to it. And it is very complicated. And sometimes I think we lose sight of that part of it. And it's not easy, and it's not just seats and suites. It is also some of the in-game stuff.
Yeah, I was just wondering with Autzen Stadium that seats 60-some thousand, if we missed it years ago when we were trying, and the college football, we really missed it in trying to compare attendance sizes. Yeah. Like that kind of member measuring did us not really any good then, other than just like the pat on our back. And it does us less good now when you've got 100,000 now, 106 or 130,000 plus seat stadium, and you're having these attendance records. But it would be, in my opinion, so much a better experience if you made it more intimate.
I agree.
If you just made it a thing that didn't have, there weren't 130,000 people, because you need the facilities to accommodate all of those people. And there aren't many places on the planet that can accommodate that many people. The one I'm thinking of is Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which takes up like 9 miles and however many acres of land, and Ohio Stadium in that.
Yeah, no, it's a really, really difficult conversation to have. And it's hundreds of conversations. It's 100,000 conversations that you have to accomplish this goal. And, it's the blessing and the curse of being as popular of a program as Ohio State, that you have a fan base, you have a community, you have a program and the financials to support all that. Like most people don't. So that comes with a new set of problems that other people don't have to deal with. When Indiana and Purdue were putting in similar things to what Ohio State is putting in the south stands of the Horseshoe, like those already exist there, but they were trying to get people to come to their stadium. Here is a perk. You can be on the field. At the ones in Indiana, there's coolers and refrigerators in those suites. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to go into the concourse, and they don't drink all the beer.
Seems not. Oh, that's a shame.
I know media members, a media member perhaps, who filmed an episode of The Notebook and was like, "Let's try this Indiana beer." They just left it here. I'm going to pop in here real quick. It's going to go to waste. Somebody better drink it. Like it's just all down there. You don't have to leave. And as you mentioned, like the bathrooms and the food and the drink and all that stuff. That was an emphasis for them to solve an attendance problem, which was not enough fans. Ohio State's problem is different. They have too many fans, and they need to find new ways to find revenue streams. And that's a very different calculation and not an easy one. And we can all sit and say, well, this is what I would like to do. This is what you should do. And we have a bunch of ideas. Implementing them becomes the next challenge.
A wild proposal for Ohio Stadium, and then a couple questions for Austin Ward coming up next. Sports Saturday on The Fan.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. Spring into savings at Ohio Mulch. Get your mulch as easy as ever. Save $50 on home delivery now through Sunday. All you got to do is visit ohiomulch.com today.
Ohio Mulch, landscape supply.
Dude, I think I just wrote the song of the summer. Listen. That's just you drinking a big gulp from Speedway. Exactly. Song of the summer. Here comes the drop. Crisp, fruity flavors like the limited time Mountain Dew Pitch Black. And just 89 cents for any size with Speedy Rewards? That's a summer hit. I'm not sure you know how songs work. The convenience stores of Speedway. Hold on. You gotta hear how it ends. Valid through 6/24/25. See app for full terms.
Boating season is finally here, and Buckeye Lake Marina is your go-to destination for all your on-the-water needs. With the largest inventory in Central Ohio, you can choose from top brands like Bennington, South Bay, Crown Line, and more. Buckeye Lake Marina has it all. Pontoon boats, luxury tri-toon boats, even merch. Open 7 days a week to serve you better. Find your next dream boat at Buckeye Lake Marina. Visit BuckeyeLakeMarina.com today for all your on-the-water needs. The good life, the lake life, starts at Buckeye Lake Marina. This summer, elevate your backyard barbecue game with Napoleon Grills from Billiards Plus in Dublin. Experience the power of Napoleon's infrared sizzle zone, reaching up to 1,800 degrees in just 30 seconds for that perfect steakhouse sear. Stay connected with the Napoleon Home app. Monitor up to 3 temperature probes, all from your smartphone. Built to last with premium steel, the grilling season never ends with Napoleon Grills from Billiards Plus. Visit Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin and transform your patio into a gourmet grilling paradise.
Come into your local AAA Car Care Plus and save $40 on any repair of $150 or more. Only at AAA Car Care Plus locations. And on the plus side, AAA members save more. Offer valid through June 30th. See store for details.
We test marketed naming the show A Guy and His Butlers.
Oh, that is very touching.
But we thought Bishop and Friends had a better ring to it.
Weekday mornings at 9.
The Fan. Sports talk, weekend style. You're listening to Fan Sports Saturday.
All right, so radical proposal coming your way in a minute. But Austin, you had mentioned in a trip to Bloomington a couple of years ago, an Ohio State beat reporter had found himself in one of their luxury suites that had beer that was given to fans in those luxury suites that had gone undrank.
Sure did.
And that one reporter had tried one of the Indiana beers. And I'm interested to know how that beer was.
Yeah, it was. And I double-checked, confirmed with this source and whoever it was. It was the Hoosier Game Day Lager. It was from Upland Brewery, which I'd been there to that location multiple times. They had some really good sours there, good food. I took Berm there one time to Upland. He was just getting into craft beer. And I said, well, you just order a flight. You get some smaller pours. You can try everything there. And so he ordered a flight. And then he ordered a second flight. But he ordered the exact same beers again. And I said, wait a minute, what did you just do?
That's pretty good.
Anyway, so that's a little story about Upland. But yeah, so somebody tried one of those, went into the suite. The beer was just sitting there. It can't go to waste.
No.
And it was, it was a nice craft lager. It was refreshing. I've become, as I've gotten older, because I used to be a real snob and give me all the hops, give me all the IPAs. And now I am 42 years old, and it's like if I have more than one IPA, I might be feeling that acid reflux. I'm like, the first time I had that feeling, I'm like, the beer didn't do that to me. There's no way. It didn't. And I was like, I got to test that again. Yep, sure enough, it is. So I've become more open now to the Pilsners, the Mexican lagers, those lighter beers. I still want them to be craft because the snob part of me I cannot give up. I'll never retire that part. So this checked that box because it was lighter. It was just a sort of American style Pilsner, and it had their red and white, their pinstripes that they love to rock on the overalls all over the can. It was a good looking can. It was a good looking beer. The refrigerator was cold down there, and made for some interesting content. I like to do it with the notebook is like show the parts of the stadium that the fans can't get to, that they can't see. It's fun for me to do that. It's like whether that's the press box, press conference area, underneath the stadium. And if I have to sample one of these opposing team beers, so be it.
It is your journalistic responsibility, in my opinion.
I mean, whoever did this.
The beat reporter in question.
Yeah.
It is their journalistic responsibility to provide all of the information possible, which radical proposal in a minute or two.
Okay.
Because my next question is, when you go on on all these road trips to these Big Ten stadiums, where have you found the best place to get beer is? Like what's been the city, the college town, or maybe big, municipality that's got a really good craft beer scene?
I tell you what, and there's an opportunity there for Ohio State fans this year with going to Wisconsin, where that's tough to beat. They know what they're doing. We checked off a few of those spots 2 years ago up there at Camp Randall. That was actually my first trip up there. Would not pass on that one. So Wisconsin is a 10 out of 10. The worst overall is going over to Happy Valley because you can't stay there. We stay in Bedford. There's one brewery there. which they do a good enough job, a passable job, but that's the only option you've got. So I always tell people, well, I want to go to a game at Beaver Stadium. I want to check that off the bucket list. I want to see a whiteout. I said, don't do it. Don't do it.
Wow.
You can't.
Straight up don't do it.
Just don't go. It's not really that hospitable in terms of the fan base. Based on my experiences, again, everyone's are different. This is anecdotal. But you're not going to be able to stay in State College. You're going to have to deal with the traffic. You're not going to be able to go really check off that atmosphere. Again, unless you're ponying up with the 3-night minimum stays and the $800 a night and you want to do it that way and you can and you get lucky, good. But, in terms of overall experience, Wisconsin is a really good one. I enjoyed being around Oregon. The craft beer scene out there was good, but it has a lot. Eugene itself had a lot of similarities with Penn State in that you couldn't stay in Eugene. Okay. It was horrific traffic in and out. I'm not really looking forward to ever making that trip out there again. But yeah, I cannot recommend enough going out there to a game in Madison if you can. And their downtown environment's really good. It's like 45 minutes out there to go get the most famous. It's escaping. The name is escaping me. I'll have to look it up.
Is it Cow something?
Yeah, the Spotted Cow.
Spotted Cow.
Glarus, there it is. You sparked. That's all I needed was an assist.
Someone sent some to Rothman, and he was kind enough to let us try some.
Yeah, so because they only sell it in the state of Wisconsin, they don't bring it after. Thanks for the assist on that. New Glarus. We went out there on that Friday afternoon, and it was only open. Only open till 4 or 5. Like they had really restrictive hours, and you couldn't hang out there all day. But
do they unrestrict them during football season?
No, it was the day before. And
okay.
So Berm and I had changed our travel plans, and I was mad about it. It was like, we're going to take the 6 a.m. flight up there instead. It's like,
can you
why?
fly right into Madison?
We flew into Milwaukee and then drove over, and he's like, let's just get there.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this is stupid. We don't have to be there that early. Like, I have to, because he wanted to fly. He lives 1 mile over the border in Michigan.
That's right.
So he's flying out of Detroit. And so, like, most times when we have these, my connection flights, like when we went to Eugene and flew out to Oregon, it's the same deal. I'm flying up to Detroit, and then he's getting on that flight, and it's great for him. He's got 2 extra hours.
Yeah.
So
selfish.
I'm like, well, see, yeah, you have a direct flight from Detroit to Milwaukee. I have to fly here to meet you in Detroit to get that, or drive up 4 hours to save the money. Like, this is bad for me. But anyway, he has that bragging rights over me for this case because we got there, and I was like, well, now we actually have time to go to New Glarus. And it was a celebration. That place is awesome. You walk around out there, it's beautiful. And then you can make it back downtown to Madison and get down to the brewery spots that they have in town and find some brats. That is a really good one. And then you have got to jump around in the scene and everything for the game on Saturday. So if you can squeeze that one into your itinerary this year, do it.
Heck of a chance. Saturday, October 18th. We don't think that the Penn State game will be anything but a big noon kick on November 1st.
Right.
But that game at Camp Randall Stadium between the Buckeyes and the Badgers, what time do you think that kicks?
I hope it'll be 3:30.
Yeah.
I think it'll be 3:30. There is an unfortunate reality, as you know, that Ohio State, if they beat Texas, if they've got the momentum, if they're undefeated, even if they're not, that Fox could put every single game at noon.
Yeah.
I was breaking that down with Beamer a few weeks back on the Buckeye show because I had thought that maybe Ohio State's push for moving the Texas game, they could get a concession later on, and that Fox might take, with their draft pick, they had the top 3, that they might take Oregon and Penn State. Now, they didn't. And then you can read the tea leaves for what that means for Ohio State, Penn State on November 1st, because clearly that was the third selection for Fox. But if that's the case, some of these other networks are going to have some opportunities to air Ohio State games. And I think Wisconsin, a 2:30 Central Time game, 3:30 kickoff on CBS would make a lot of sense. I think that'd be great for everybody. It was cool at night the last time around. I think, was that one that wound up on Peacock or NBC?
I think that was an NBC.
Yeah, which is great. Like, that place at night was really, really cool to be there. But I think that should be mid-afternoon.
Because Wisconsin will meet Ohio State after the Badgers have played, if I'm doing my math right, 6 games. And those include Iowa, Michigan, Maryland, and then week 3, Wisconsin's at Alabama. Luke Fickell got a contract extension that was head-scratching at best.
And
what does this year look like for him?
Feels like the extension was to protect him from what could be, as you broke down that schedule and the uncertainty that they have at quarterback, it could be rough. And they're so heavily invested in Luke Fickell, and everyone really believes in his long-term vision and ability to lead a program. I still do, but that doesn't mean that I think that the Badgers are going to be very competitive this year. And that's tough to swallow, because I thought the move was strange in the first place. I was always under the impression that for Luke Fickell, the only opportunities that would get him to leave Cincinnati, which he had a good thing going. They were headed towards greener pastures, conference pastures, more money coming in. My expectation that it was only going to be Ohio State or potentially Penn State. And then this move sort of fell out of the sky. I was surprised by it. And I had, back in my days at ESPN when I was covering the Big Ten more as a whole, just talking with coaches at Wisconsin, this is a difficult job. I don't think people appreciate the academic requirements or the recruiting profile here, all these factors. It's hard to win here. There was a unique blueprint, and that's why you saw Brett Bielema leave. That's why you saw the strange Gary Anderson situation. And I was like, I don't know if this is the spot. If anyone can do it, maybe Luke can, but it has not worked out that way. And it's hard to really see much more than 7-8 wins on that schedule. And that feels like the top end upside.
Yeah, 3-3 at best going into that game against the Buckeyes feels like best case scenario for Wisconsin. Iowa, Michigan, probably not, definitely not for Alabama. They open against Miami of Ohio, but they got a game Saturday, November 22nd, where they're hosting Brett Bielema in Illinois. And Illinois could be that team this year that could be doing what Indiana did last season.
And that could be the one, you look at that, Bielema comes in and Illinois is playing the kind of football that I think they might be able to do.
Yeah.
And that's also, as an aside, a tough back-to-back stretch for Ohio State. The week before Wisconsin, you have Illinois. It's the only back-to-back road trip on Ohio State's schedule against two teams that are going to play. Whatever Wisconsin might lack in high-end talent, that they're going to make up for with toughness, and they're going to be well-coached. That game there 2 years ago was rugged, and there was no business for it being as competitive as it was. But that's a tribute to Luke Fickell and Brady Collins with the strength staff up there, another former Ohio State staffer. But if Bielema comes back in there and then gets one over on Wisconsin and Luke struggles this year, that's going to be a tough pill for that program to swallow.
A radical proposal that's coming, and we probably should have seen something else coming for the basketball Buckeyes. All of that next. It's Sports Saturday on The Fan.
A lot has changed in 30 years, but we're still that old shoe that feels worn in and well-loved. And we smell a little, but you've accepted that. The Fan.
There's a huge focus in America today about your health, and you're determined to look beyond the pills. You don't want to have surgery, because I know I didn't. So you want to talk to the person that's in pain right now? Well, that was me. Maybe it's you, maybe it's someone you love, and maybe you've done everything you can. Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter for my friends at QC Kinetics. They're different. They're not about those quick fixes. This isn't going to be some shot that's going to make you feel better. It's not a surgery that's going to put you on the shelf. They're about long-term relief. This is regenerative medicine we're talking about right here. Your own body's healing properties to heal the damaged tissue at the cellular level. QC Kinetics, they've helped tens of thousands of people, so many of them right here in the Columbus area and across the country. They'd be honored to help you just like they helped me with my knee, just like they helped my dad. Here's what they're going to do. They're not going to mask the pain. They're going to go to the source of it. So go check them out at qckinetics.com/Columbus to see if you're a good candidate, or give them a call at 380-28-4544. They've got offices in Dublin and in Gahanna and newly in Canal Winchester and Grove City.
This summer, Giant Eagle is making a big splash with a carefree summer sweepstakes and your chance to win free groceries for a year. This June, just spend $10 or more shopping for backyard barbecues, road trip essentials, campfire treats, and everything in between. Then swipe your loyalty card for your chance to win. Only at Giant Eagle. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends 6/30/25. For official rules, visit GiantEagleCarefreeSweeps.com.
It's a different world today than it was 30 years ago when I started Care Heating and Cooling. This is Mike Weens, now the retired founder of Care Heating and Cooling with my sons, Dennis and Ryan.
Dad, 30 years ago, you were the first to warn of companies using service technicians as salespeople, of abusing the trust that a service technician has. With the big conglomerates now buying companies all over Central Ohio, this has become the normal business model.
It's all about greed. The conglomerates know they can make a lot more money by incentivizing their technicians to sell air conditioners instead of fixing them. They train their techs to take advantage of a customer when they are the most vulnerable.
Dad, that is not how we were taught. In 2024, Care Heating and Cooling was awarded a BBB Torch Award for ethics and was named the Lennox Partner of the Year. You don't earn those awards by leaving cat toys behind.
Call Care Heating and Cooling at 1-800-COOLING or schedule an appointment online at careheatingandcooling.com. When you need a company you can trust.
Everyone has a fave Wendy's Frosty flavor. And when you're choosing from chocolate or vanilla, it's not that hard. But now there's all new Frosty Swirls and Frosty Fusions. So try picking your fave from Oreo Brownie Fusion, Pop-Tarts Strawberry Fusion, Strawberry Swirl, Brownie Batter Swirl, Caramel Swirl, and Caramel Crunch Fusion. Not so easy now, huh? For a fresh way to Frosty, gotta be Wendy's. Open till midnight or later.
At participating U.S. Wendy's. Hours may vary by location. Oreo is a trademark of Mondelez International Group. Pop-Tarts is a trademark of Kellogg North America Co., LLC. Used with permission.
If you miss a little, you'll miss a lot. Search for your favorite fan shows wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe. Every episode comes right to your phone absolutely free. Modern technology, it's a hell of a thing. Do it now. The Fan.
Don't miss the Right Rug Flooring Outlet Super Sale. Save up to 80% on truckloads of floors and more, including tiles starting at 19 cents a square foot and a massive selection of laminate, luxury vinyl, and carpet, all drastically reduced. Cabinets and lighting fixtures, too. Save up to 80% during the Right Rug Flooring Outlet Super Sale on Pop Road in Whitehall. 24-month financing is available with approved credit. Hurry, the Outlet Super Sale ends June 22nd. Dealers welcome.
Summer 2025 is bringing something wild to your Columbus Zoo. The all-new North America Trek opens this summer, a reimagined zoo region inspired by your national parks. Get ready to get up close with Mexican wolves, black bears, river otters, bald eagles, and more in breathtaking new habitats. Discover local wildlife and conservation in action like never before. Plan your visit today. Visit columbuszoo.org for details.
When it comes to your roofing, siding, or gutter needs, call Newman Roofing, 614-NEW-ROOF, newmanroofing.com.
Sometimes I hear a sparkling sound.
Like when we say, all you have to do is point?
There it is.
That's the sound of magic happening.
Magic like we can come the day you call us? Wow.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK or visit 1-800-GOTJUNK.com.
Bands are us when dreams don't end. Bands are us.
Right now, get $1,500 off a shower or tub replacement or $3,000 off a full bathroom remodel, plus low to no monthly payments. Call 380-225-BATH to schedule your free estimate or go to bathsareus.com. 380-225-BATH.
Bands are us when dreams don't end. Bands are us.
Want to know anything about the Fans contest, how to win, or what's up for grabs? Check out 971thefan.com. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
During weekend programming, pants are optional.
Look at my butt!
However, leather chairs may have been a bad choice. You're listening to Fan Sports Saturday.
All right, so radical proposal time.
Oh, baby.
For Austin Ward. So the Browns, as I'm sure you've heard, are getting state funds to build, or state funds to help them build, a new development in Brook Park. They're going to have an indoor stadium. It'll be world class. They're opening it up in a couple of years. I think 28, 29 is when the expected date is. I don't know what the Brown family wants to do in Cincinnati. Whatever the hell Mike
Whatever's
Brown
cheapest.
wakes up one day and decides is the best case forward for that team. But Ohio State, in my opinion, and I've said this only since I started appearing on these airwaves, needs to do something about Ohio Stadium, and that something needs to be taken down to the studs. You got to take it down to its bare bones. That stadium site needs to be completely emptied, and you've got to build a new state-of-the-art field. We are 2 years away from having Northwestern, I should say, with better football facilities top to bottom than Ohio State, and I feel that's unacceptable for the people that tradition the excellence. So when Ohio State finally realizes that that needs to happen and the site gets bulldozed, where are you going to play your football games?
Yeah.
You reach out to the Brown family, you reach out to the Haslams, and you say, will you give us money to send our traveling show, the Ohio State Buckeyes, to Brook Park, to Cincinnati, to play home games there for 2 seasons? You split it week to week. You obviously have your away games. You can make money that way, and the Haslams and the Brown family can sell tickets to those Ohio State games. Austin Ward, when you hear that radical proposal, what do you think?
I think I don't want to travel every week. Oh,
yeah, I know.
No,
I know.
I look, if you're going to accomplish what you're talking about, which is modernizing Ohio Stadium, like, you know, let's just say if the Horseshoe, as we've always known it, no longer exists, and it just becomes an updated, newly rebuilt, you know, Ohio Stadium. I don't know that we can call it the horseshoe. It'll probably look different. You'd probably try and keep as much of the tradition in place as you possibly can. But when you're trying to retrofit some of this stuff, which is what we've been talking about with the new hospitality suites on the field level, the 400 luxurious wide back chairs,
Wide asses,
like and they've done this with, the B deck top, the Net Jets landing or whatever it is. They've done this with some of the press box and done it piecemeal. Some of the pieces then don't fit together all that well, and it still causes you short-term discomfort to try and get something that is probably not fully maximized to what you're talking about with a new facility, state-of-the-art facility, because you're just not going to be able to do that with the existing bones that are there for the horseshoe. And Penn State had tried to do that, and it made their stadium look like an erector set. And so if they take that path that you're talking about, I think you would have to do it that way. In terms of a radical proposal for that part, Ohio State would not be in a position to get to Northwestern's end result by putting a waterfront practice facility high school stadium out there for 2 years and accepting that. That would not work for Ohio State. Ohio State is big business. So taking it and playing those games, you could include Lucas Oil as well if you wanted to. I mean, that's outside of the state of Ohio.
Love the Hoosier Dome.
The Hoosier Dome has always been a home away from home for the Buckeyes. You'd probably prefer to keep it inside the state, where the Browns and Bengals could lend a hand to that. So in terms of if that is the option that they go, nuclear and bulldozing to the studs, that's what you'd have to do. That part of the proposal is not as radical. I think getting people on board with actual full-scale $100 billion renovations, sorry, not millions, billions of dollars, that'd be the only option. And that would be a shortcut to recouping some of that money as well, because they also have the luxury suites and the press box and the locker rooms and the NFL, like everything in place for Ohio State to go play there. So if they take that choice, then your proposal is not that outlandish. It would be the way you'd have to go.
The Tour de 71, sponsored by Tire Discounters. I mean, the sellable elements are everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, suddenly you have new marketing opportunities available to you in Cleveland and Cincinnati. Businesses that aren't involved with the Buckeyes currently. You tap into that market, baby. It's more revenue streams.
Did the Dorian Jones decision surprise you earlier this week?
No. I think the national coverage of it has surprised me because it seems like no one wants to talk about in a lot of ways you can't talk about all the factors that go into a decision like this.
Sure.
But I think Ohio State was aware that there was a possibility he might not qualify for the roster this year, might not be on it. But it was not like, well, going to lose him to somewhere else. He's going to enroll at another Power 4 program, Power 5 program, whatever, major college basketball program. The timing of it was not great necessarily for Jake Diebler because it brought to light, if you're him and you miss the NCAA tournament in year one and there was so much apathy in the shot at the end of that year and people saying, well, why did they just promote this guy from Chris Holtman's staff? And that is the perception of you after the first year. And then you get into June, and it's like, wait a minute, your signing class now only has one person in it. You have to go fill multiple holes in June. You're not expecting to deal with negative headlines when you're trying to bring some positivity. I thought he had done a good job of that. Some of that coach's chalk talk, and he has to take the initiative on his own because the coverage of the basketball team is never going to be the same as football. And then you get these waves of maybe inaccurate, but negative either way, headlines on your team. It's not what Jake Diebler wanted in June.
So Jones, the number one prospect in the state of Ohio for the class of 2025. He's out of Richmond Heights. Last week announced that he would be holding off his arrival in Columbus for 1 year. He'd be going to a junior college, possibly to work on academics or work on development. I think it was skewed towards more of the academic side. But then on Wednesday, he'd announced he'd requested his release from Ohio State and will reopen his recruiting process. Jones holds offers from Michigan, Penn State, and Rutgers, Cincinnati, Miami, Missouri, and Texas A&M. Now probably when he announced that he was going to be holding off on Columbus for a year, that was where my head went. Rarely do you see a guy say, I'm not coming, but I'd like to continue our relationship, and that end well with an appearance in an Ohio State uniform.
Yeah,
or an appearance in any uniform for that matter.
And my understanding of that situation is why I say that it might be being covered inaccurately by national recruiting writers, or saying that he might land at another school or the other side of the rivalry, or go to Rutgers or wherever else. Like, I don't think that he can do that. Ohio State thought that if he couldn't get in or needed to delay enrollment at Ohio State, that reason would apply across the board to any power program, and that it was supportive of him and anticipating that in a year's time, maybe the junior college would allow him to return here. Maybe he won't. As you said, sometimes these things materialize and it doesn't work out.
So Ohio State did say that they fully expected him to go the junior college route for a year, and so maybe he's opened his recruitment as he continues to do that. But yeah, it was one of those things where he announces that he's stepping away, and it's like, well, it's probably not Ohio State where he lands, and it's unfortunate, but you do hope for the best for the young man. The Buckeyes did land Matthew Griechek, a German guard, and then Tyler Hero's little brother. So there's some additions that will help the basketball Buckeyes. Will be Team 126 this fall. I did want to, just real quick, because we've got about a minute left to go in the program, with Griechek and with Christoph Tilley. They've played professionally the last 2 years. Yeah. How do you turn them from professional basketball players into student athletes?
You don't.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, we joke about it and we scoff.
But that's where my brain went. As soon as it's announced, I'm like, well, they're professionals.
Yeah, and they're gonna be paid here. Like they are still professionals. Now they're professionals that are gonna have to go to class. But you know that if you have to take 6 hours during your season to stay eligible, I mean, you can find some classes that aren't gonna really strain you that hard. Maybe they want to be. That could be the other part. Maybe they want to go back to college.
They want that accounting 101 experience.
They want to learn statistics.
It screams when Matt Leinart was doing his final year at USC. He did like ballroom dancing.
Yeah.
It's like something in that vein is what these guys are going to be doing because they're pros, not trying to do school.
And look, we'll definitely ask them when they get here. What classes are you taking? What are you interested in? Because there are a number of those guys who actually do love that part of it and the opportunity to be on campus and live that lifestyle and go to class and meet some young people that they want to hang out with.
The co-ed experience is incredible.
You don't want to pass on that.
Would recommend 10 times out of 10, as is the experience to get a degree from The Ohio State. Austin, it was a fun experience hosting with you today on the Saturday Spectacular. We'll do it next week on The Fan.
See ya.
We are your radio home for the Buckeyes, Browns, and all the NFL games you can handle. We may have a bit of a football problem. Oh, yeah? The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Dude, I think I just wrote the song of the summer. Listen.
That's just you drinking a big gulp from Speedway.
Exactly. Song of the summer. Here comes the drop. Crisp, fruity flavors like the limited time Mountain Dew Pitch Black. And just 89 cents for any size with Speedy Rewards? That's a summer hit.
I'm not sure you know how songs work.
The convenience stores of Speedway. Hold on. You gotta hear how it ends. Valid through 6/24/25. See app for full terms.
You had a solid retirement dream. Sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But with an unpredictable economy and the future feeling uncertain, you're wondering if that equity will still be there when you're ready. What if you could bank that equity right now? With Truehold, you can sell your home for its current value, so you can access your equity today. You can bank the cash now and stay in the home you love with an easy standard lease. Truehold even covers property taxes, insurance, and repairs. And since Truehold hands over your equity in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you'd like. Don't let a shifting economy put your hard-earned equity at risk. Visit Truehold.com and receive their competitive offer on your home in just 48 hours, based on its current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without moving. That's Truehold.com.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Hey, Jerry. Hey, Aaron. Hey, it's that time of year again.
What time is that?
The time all the air conditioners start breaking down.
Oh, that time. Yep, every year.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Like a swarm of bees. They all get together in a coordinated effort.
You mean the Queen air conditioner tells them all to break down?
Nah, they just get tuckered out in the heat, Aaron. Can we handle all the calls?
Sure, we have a swarm of highly trained coolness experts standing by.
Get Eco.
ECO. And we have $3.5 million in new service trucks to get them there the day you call.
The same day? Well, what if you don't call until...
We'll come as late as you'll stay up to let us in. Same day.
That explains all the revving engines.
It's like a beehive of activity, Jerry.
Do you know I invented that weird scoopy thing you serve honey with?
You should invent something for ketchup, Jerry. It's America.
Ooh, now that's an idea.
Get Eco.
ECO. GetEco.com.
Hi, I'm Bob Capace from Worthington Jewelers.
And I'm his very overpaid celebrity endorser, Common Man. Bob, I heard somewhere, actually from you many, many times, that Worthington Jewelers is where Columbus gets engaged.
It's too bad you and Timmy can't engage the audience.
Good zing, Bob.
If you're thinking of popping the question, there's only one place to go.
Worthington Jewelers on High Street in Worthington, worthingtonjewelers.com. Tell him Common Man said.